It's time for Windows Weekly. I am so jealous. Paul Thurrott and Richard Campbell are in Puerto Vallarta, but they're going to focus. They're going to focus and talk about big news, changes in how Microsoft and Google deliver AI to their Office tools, Windows and the PC market, tiny growth, a little analysis of what this means for the future of personal computing, and then we'll talk about AI everywhere and Microsoft kind of loosening its hold on OpenAI. It's all coming up next on Windows Weekly.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Richard Campbell, episode 916, recorded Wednesday, January 22nd, 2025. Agua, Gigante. It's time for Windows Weekly, the show we cover the latest news from Microsoft. And today, we take you to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, where our two protagonists are enjoying the sun and fun. Hey, boys. You look very relaxed.
We've been having a good time.
Nice. Paul Thurrott on the right there in the navy blue, dark blue. Paul is, of course, at Thurrott.com. That's his blog, and his books are at leanpub.com. On the left there in the Mexican mosaic, it's Mr. Richard Campbell of RunAsRadio.com. Wow. Do you get news down there in beautiful Puerto Vallarta?
Yeah, but it's all in Spanish.
Yeah. Which, makes it less stressful, actually. Everything sounds like a novella.
I've learned
telenovela.
A lot of Spanish swear words.
OpenAI. Okay, well, there is a lot of news, so I think I'll let you get right into it. Although I wouldn't have started with this, to be honest.
Yeah.
I would have started with the AI story, but okay, you buried it. That's fine. That's fine.
No, I don't really honestly think that matters too much.
Oh, well, there you go. Good. You've ranked these in order of importance, so.
Well, I moved this one ahead of Windows because, to me, this is a fairly profound change and is probably just the first of several that are coming along these lines. So,
right. Well, what's happening?
I'm not going to get into color. You tell the story first, and then I'll.
Okay.
He's the color man, Paul.
We've been
you're
talking
the
about
play-by-play guy.
We've been talking about this over Tequila anyway. So
everyone knows the last 2 years have been this rapid expansion of AI for individuals and for businesses. Different go-to-market strategies. Google, as it does, has been copying the market leader like they do in mobile, in this case, Microsoft, right? And so when Microsoft announced Copilot for Microsoft 365, we'll do a Gemini something. It'll be the same thing and cost exactly the same amount. And the consumer side's a little different, but basically you get the same thing. Gemini Advanced as a consumer with the Gmail account, 2 terabytes of storage, etc. So very similar strategies. If you wanted AI, you had to pay for AI. Microsoft, of course, has Windows, and they're putting some free things in Windows. If you have a Copilot Plus PC, they're putting a few more things in Windows that are AI-related, local AI. But the cloud-based stuff, which is far more powerful and feature-complete by now for sure, has always been pay for play, right? That's kind of the simplest way to say it, I guess. But there have been some changes happening. So I don't remember when this was, but back in August, September timeframe, something like that, Microsoft it raised the price of Microsoft 365 for consumers, so the personal and family versions, in select markets. Australia, I think it was, parts of Southeast Asia, almost like they were just testing to see how that went. They also introduced this system of AI credits so that if you had a Microsoft 365 account, paid Microsoft 365 consumer account, you could do things that previously might have required Copilot Pro, which is that $20 per user per month service that's analogous to Microsoft 365 Copilot. Let me know if I lost you completely, because this is dense.
Well, and the point being that consumer 365 isn't even $20 a month. So why are you going to pay $20 a month for Copilot?
That's the tough thing. So at the time, family was at $99 a year, 6 users, terabyte of storage each, full access to all the Office apps on desktop and mobile, yada, 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 whatever else. Or you could add $20 per user per month, which is $240 per user So all 6, whatever that, it's over $1,000. It's like $1,200, whatever, $1,300 plus $100 for Microsoft 365. The thing that's weird about I think is unfair about that to consumers anyway. Microsoft's costs are enormous, but the amount of functionality you get are exponentially smaller than what you get just from Microsoft 365. Like, the value prop wasn't really there. So with this system of AI credits, and even us here in the United States, Western Europe, wherever, you've seen this. Like, you can do things like designer.microsoft.com and create images, and you could go against this AI credit balance, which at the time you didn't even know what it was, let alone what each transaction cost. But we've been doing this for a while. It's the reason I stopped paying for Microsoft Copilot Plus, because that was what I was using it for. And now I've never exceeded any limit, so I just use it to make images every month, and it's free. I'm paying for Microsoft 365 actually twice, but I pay for these subscriptions. So to me, like, that made sense. Like, I get this kind of benefit. So then last week happened, and it's so complicated because Google and Microsoft have both made major changes. The Google changes that were just announced are only for businesses. The Microsoft changes that were just announced are only for consumers. But these things are still roughly comparable. So we talked about this part of it, I think, last week, that Google killed Gemini Advanced for businesses. They still offer it for consumers. And all of those features are now in Workspace. And Workspace went up per user per month some couple of dollars. So I think the math I did at the time was 17%, if I remember correctly. A day or two later, so it probably was after the show, would have been after the show last week, Microsoft announced their changes that they'd already made in some parts of the world are going everywhere, including the United States. Price hikes for personal and family, Microsoft 365. They still offer Copilot Plus. So if you want to pay that $20 per user per month. So a little different from Google. And my life has been upended ever since because, people are technical, pick everything apart as they should. And this seemed to me to be very fair. And then you kind of dig into it and you see little problems. And I still think it's okay. But the more I think about it, I think this is a step to a future where this will maybe be more equitable, right? So the issues, or I will say the primary issue, is that only the primary account holder on Microsoft 365 family gets these AI credits.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
Yeah. There's no way to dole them out to everyone in the family. There's no way to allow everyone in the family just to access from that single pool. There's no option other than if someone else wants to access those features, they have to pay $20 per month, which, again, is super expensive. So I sort of think about this, and I still feel like for people, individuals, families, Microsoft 365 family is a no-brainer. 6 users, I should say the price went up to $130 per month. So it's a 30% price increase. It's a big increase, but it's the first time the price has ever gone up on this thing. And it's still an incredible value just for all this stuff. It's incredible. It's still a no-brainer to me. But I hear the complaints, and I feel it too. Like, my wife would want to access this. There's different ways to kind of look at this. There's someone here.
It's the cleaners.
There's different ways to look at this, but in my view, not that this is all of it, but if the $30 per year thing covers the cost of me having AI credits for the year, why not let me pay $30 a year for another person, right? To join it. Like that to me makes a little more sense. So I actually think we're going to get there.
I think the pool for everybody is the answer. I see the juggling that's going on right now.
Yep.
If you make the family deal too good, you're starting to start sabotaging your business
That's
side.
Right. Which has always been a big problem for
Which I think is an unreasonable fear.
But
especially when you talk about the AI stuff.
It's always been a concern.
But the other part of this is you don't want to make really they should make Copilot for families like $5 a month.
Yeah.
Except that they'll overuse it. So the idea of doing the points pool, so if you're barely using it, it costs you nothing more.
That's right.
And as soon as you use it a lot, it's like you should be paying for this.
Well, I think there's a middle ground too where I hit or we hit or whoever's in the family, whatever the system is at the time, you hit the limit and they're like, yep, sorry, you shut off. See you in the top of the next month. How about letting me buy more AI credits?
Yeah.
And if I do that
at a
enough,
$5 or $10 or $20 increment,
whatever it might be, and if I if I start spending that $20, it's like, okay, well, maybe this.
Let's roll you into a monthly.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
in the end, these guys, it's not like they're not worried about the money. It's the utilization. Like, you want to see that people are using this. Like, to me, that seems more important.
So there's no way for us to know what this costs Microsoft, but we have this vague understanding that these AI transactions, for lack of a better term, are expensive. They're getting less expensive over time. I think that's why they're able to do what they're doing now. If you compare January 2025 to 2024, it's better. It's better than the previous plan, which was only you can pay a lot to get this a little.
Right.
I think
some of this feels like MVP. That they're just experimenting to see what people will pay. Again, I don't see any accounting, anywhere they're looking and saying, oh, no, we're making a profit off of this.
Oh, God.
This is more about charging enough that people pay attention to its price,
right,
to see how many people are willing to pay it all, regardless of what it actually costs. Because I think if they gave it away for free, which I almost feel like they're headed down that path, that this eventually is just a feature that's included with your other paid products. That you would never know if it's actually valued. But
so if look, we go from $100 a year to 130, okay, and if a year from now it's 130 and everyone gets in or whatever they change, great. If it was $200 a year, we start to have a conversation. I guess you could argue it's still a good value on some level if you use a lot, yada yada yada. But there's a conversation there. But I think as their cost comes down and as they have a sense for what people are actually using, they'll iron this out. And so everyone's freaking out because that's what we do. But I wish it was a little better. I'd like to get my wife in on this. I think she would use some of this stuff.
Yeah, and it's a thing. The biggest thing is I want people who are not in this industry to be playing with this, and they see value in it.
Yeah. So also, just in the negative column for this offering, I will just point out, one of the big battles I've been fighting for the past, 2 years now, or a year and a half, whatever it is this notion of forced OneDrive usage in Windows 11, right? And how they just enable folder backup and don't give you an option. As part of the way I use this product, which I admit is not the common mainstream way to do so, I have specific folders in OneDrive that I use for my documents and how I do things and whatever. And I don't use that folder backup feature. But when I do use products like Microsoft Word or Excel or whatever that save documents, I save them to the desktop, which is not backed up automatically on my computers.
Only because you configured it that way.
Yeah. It takes, by the way, you really got to work at it to get it there.
No, it really wants to back up your desktop.
I can't use Copilot in Word or Excel or whatever unless I am backing up to OneDrive.
Mm-hmm.
So this is sort of like the autosave feature, right? You can't use autosave in the Office apps unless you're saving to OneDrive. It doesn't have to be one of those backup folders, but it has to be OneDrive. So they're directing users. It's using what Microsoft products is like playing a Rails game. You're going to go from point A to point B, and there is only one path from Microsoft's point of view. You're going to take their path. And I like to go on side quests. I don't know. I'm a little different.
You're an adventurer.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think, look, AI is the biggest thing that's happened maybe in this industry in our lifetime, maybe. But if not, it's one of the biggest, obviously. It is going to have the most profound impact in not consumption tasks, but creation tasks, right? Whether it's straight up office productivity or creation, like you're creating images or videos or whatever, that's where it's going to have its impact. And that's why this is important, because this is still the primary way that most people create documents, whatever.
Untoward Media on the YouTube channel made a great point, which is, one of the upsides to putting in a little bit of pricing is so that not everybody tries it at once.
Yeah.
Because they can only scale so far. So this is also a way to control the rate of expansion.
It was
keep your systems from tipping over.
So Copilot Plus for consumers, and you've argued otherwise, and to a good point too, I think. But if you're a very small business with one of the lower tiers on the business side as well, Microsoft 365 Copilot Plus, we're too expensive. It is a little too expensive to experiment, right? Whereas I think now, kind of we're in the opposite equation where it's still too expensive if you want everyone to have it, but now we're limiting it so that someone in your family gets it and the others don't.
Yeah, no, how I made my family fight over it.
Yeah, it's like that's kind of
silly.
That's kind of a tough one.
It's also a feature I think they get a lot of use of. Full stop. This idea of a credit pool for a variety of services.
You know what this reminds me of is that point system they had in Zune when it first came out. Remember, you couldn't pay for things with dollars or whatever your currency was. You had to buy like Microsoft points,
Right.
and it's like AI credits, huh?
Uh-huh.
It's like you did dust off those Microsoft point gift cards and like just
Do
put
they
them back.
transfer? I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, to me, it feels like progress. It really does.
Mm.
Or wait,
100%.
Or is it progress?
It's progress. Thank
Okay.
you.
Let's get it. You're in Mexico now, buddy.
It's progress.
Well, him and his wife, Canadians, have said the word progress one too many times in my presence. Where I start to twitch.
It's a little twitchy.
I'm like, oh, that's how you say that. Anyway, yeah. So if you're looking at this from a business perspective, Microsoft 365 hasn't changed. I'm curious where that goes, right? I feel like it's going to. And if you're looking at it from the Google perspective, their consumer stuff hasn't changed, right? Only the business side's changed. So it's the opposite sides of the fence in a way. But the business models are very similar. The big difference there is that Google, at least for businesses, is not even offering a paid AI add-on anymore. And Microsoft for consumers is, but they've made it possible for many more people to access these features in a limited way for free, or as part of the thing they're already paying for, right? The Microsoft 365 subscription. And by the way, until just, I think it might have been even yesterday, when I started writing about this, as this was happening, I was like, one of the weird things here is there's no place you can go and see how many AI credits you have or how you're spending them.
This is half baked.
No, it's there now. So you actually can go to the Microsoft account website and go to your Microsoft 365 subscription page, and I think it's 60 AI credits a month, and then I'd actually still, at the time I looked, I still had 59 credits somehow, so I don't know.
This is almost a Dan. I wonder if Microsoft thinks about not looking like a cell phone company.
Yeah.
Like cell phone companies have these family plans with a pool of data.
That's exactly, yes. So, okay, so I don't want to get too, you were, when you said this pool should be available to everyone, this is what this is what I thought of, and I could see people complaining about it, and I got to be honest, I have no sympathy for this whatsoever. Right. So back when cell phone plans were really expensive, and you could have a family plan, but it was not unlimited, and everyone had the same pool. My wife, my daughter, and my son were all in the same plan.
Yeah.
And my son would exceed the limit every month.
Right.
And my wife would just be like, come on, man. Like, what are you doing? Like he was like off the charts more data usage than anyone else, right? The teenager.
He had a routine that involved a lot of data. It was probably video.
So you could say, well, that's what's going to happen here. To which I would say, good.
Yeah.
People are sharing Microsoft 365 family accounts with random people they know.
Yeah.
So if you don't want Bob, your neighbor across the street, using all your AI credits, here's an idea. He's not part of your family. like nobody cares. Yeah. See, to me, this is not a huge problem.
No, it's actually a really useful solution.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think it's okay. That's my point, I guess.
Okay.
Here it is. So I've used 2 AI credits this month so far.
2.
It says you use a credit each time you prompt AI in apps like Word, PowerPoint, or Designer. So it hasn't been since January 1st, right? This is going back to December, late last week. Well, not even.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they just.
This has just been introduced.
They've had AI credits, but they haven't been like keeping a tally. Kind of like when Azure launched, they were like, oh, this is here it goes. So now they are, and you can kind of see. So it will take some months, I think. I suspect in my case, there might be a month or two where I'm like, oh, I actually hit the limit. Yep. My problem is not that I'm hitting a limit. My problem is I can't buy my way out of it without subscribing at a huge
going
cost.
to the full haul.
Yeah, see, I'd like to see some middle ground where it's like, all right, so 60 credits,
60 more credits.
Here's an idea. Yeah, give me, whatever the number, whatever the amount, just give me something that's not $20 a month,
It sounds like it's almost a freemium model, right? That they expect you to pay for it.
Yes, exactly. So, like, my wife and I pay for whatever the Duolingo subscription is called, but every once in a while, I'll run out of the in-game currency, which is used to, do certain things, whatever it is. And you can buy these things for small amounts, right? Mm-hmm. And if you were to look at the last 12 months, I bet I did that twice. I'm glad it's there. I mean, I don't like paying, but I mean, it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is the natural.
It's a progression of things.
Progression that will happen. Yeah, exactly.
I agree.
Yep. So yeah, big deal. I think this is. I can't stop writing about it. People keep. finding these little things they don't like about it, which is what our world does.
I often debate this whole. Yeah, go ahead, Leo.
I was just going to say, do you think this is an acknowledgement that AI is costing them more than they thought it would?
Actually, I think it's an acknowledgement, implicit acknowledgement that cost is starting to come down.
Yeah.
You know, if it was still as expensive as it was to them a year ago, they wouldn't be able to do this.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's why one of the articles I wrote was baby steps. I call it baby steps because look, this is a step forward. It's not a big step forward. If you just want everyone to have AI, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, a year from now, and maybe less because it happens fast, right? But maybe less than a year from now or whatever it is, the next step will be one of the things we've talked about. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know what they'll do, obviously, but maybe they open it up to the whole family. Maybe they let you buy credits or something when you know.
Thinking on the back end side of this, they've now had 18 months, 2 years worth of workload to look at, which means they've been able to tune the infrastructure, optimize the LLMs, like all of these different things. And they're probably getting some substantial returns on that. So it's costing them less to operate it.
Right.
And that gives you room to start playing with. Now your problem is not enough utilization. So how do I increase the workload? I drop the price.
Yeah. Yep. So I don't look. It's unfortunately this is still a subscription service. Prices still go up over time, et cetera, et cetera. But what Richard said, which was I think it just becomes a feature of that thing you're already paying for. I think it has to land there, right? Eventually. And Google already got there. Google just did it for businesses.
Yeah.
Okay. So. Or it's an acknowledgement that not enough people are using.
Yeah, I mean,
and enough is a relative concept, right? It's like some are, but we'd like more now because we're not tipping over.
Yeah.
And so let's go stress.
How come you've used so few credits, Paul? What are you using instead? I know you're using AI.
I've only used it to create a few images for my website.
You like something else better?
No, I don't. Well, I don't use AI for writing.
Yeah.
I don't use Microsoft Office for anything.
Yeah.
So I basically use it to create images. So this is the type of thing, like, I think my wife would like using this, and I don't have a way to make that happen. Like, I can't, there's no way to transfer without her paying a lot.
She's not the primary. Yeah.
Right.
That's a very weird thing to do.
Yeah. But you
have a family account, right?
Yeah.
It's so weird.
And it's actual family members in it. I don't know that my kids, I don't know what they think about this. Like, I don't know that they would care one way or the other. I really have no way of knowing. But
I set my girls up with accounts, but they barely use them.
I guess I'm a weirdo because I bought the $20 ChatGPT subscription, the Sonnet Claude Anthropic subscription, the Perplexity AI subscription. I'm spending probably $100 a month on these various AIs.
Yeah, but you're in the business,
right?
It's part of my job, but I also find that different ones are good at different things.
That's right. Yeah. And I think that's going to shift over time, right? But I did the same for a little while. I paid for Microsoft Copilot Plus for, I don't remember, 3-5 months, whatever it was. I paid for OpenAI ChatGPT, whatever that's called, Pro. I have been using GitHub Copilot a lot in Visual Studio, and if I hit a limit there, I could picture. I'm not going to do it for I'm not a professional programmer. I don't use it like, I'm not going to, this is not my primary aim, but as I'm working on this really complicated project, the value there is unbelievable. I would absolutely pay for that. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But I mean, last time I wrote that editorial, like, I will not pay for AI. It didn't mean I wasn't going to use AI. AI is going to be a part of, this is kind of, my tip is about this a little bit, it's going to be a part of everything that we use. So we're going to use it, but I feel like fundamentally, to me, the product is Microsoft 365. It's Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, whatever. It's the whatever amount of storage you get in OneDrive. It's the integration you get with Windows, where you can access everything seamlessly. Like, there's value there. The AI stuff is it's spell checking, it's grammar checking, it's the stuff that used to you just get with it. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's how it should be. And like he said, I think that's where it's going to go.
Yeah,
that's what I think. I said, spitting on my screen.
All right. Before we go on to Windows, even more exciting than Office, I'd like to interrupt with a word from our sponsor, if you don't mind. Gentlemen, take a nice little, I don't know, what do you like? A Jamaica break, and we'll be back. Little horchata for all. Stay away from the tequila. That's all I can ask. Our show today brought to you by 1Password, ladies and gentlemen, and something new from 1Password, something very, very cool. Let me ask you a rhetorical question, because I know the answer. Do your end users always work on company-owned devices? Rah, rah. And IT-approved apps. They're good people, right? Wrong. No, of course not. So how do you keep your company's data safe when it's sitting on all those unmanaged apps and, the BYOD devices and all of that? 1Password has an answer that works. It's called Extended Access Management. 1Password Extended Access Management helps you secure every sign-in for every app on every device. It solves the problems traditional IAM and MDM cannot touch. Imagine your company's security like the quadrangle of a college campus. You got your nice brick paths between the buildings, the ivy-covered buildings. Oh, they're so pretty, so perfect. The lawn is perfect. Those are the company-owned devices, the IT-approved apps, the managed employee identities. But that's not all. If you've ever been to a college quadrangle, there's those little shortcuts people take through the grass, right? The actual straightest line from point A to point B. There's lots of them, and those are the unmanaged devices, the shadow IT apps, the non-employee identities like contractors. Here's the problem. Most security tools just assume, happy brick paths. It's all going to be happy brick paths. But really, the real security problems happen on those little muddy shortcuts, the way people really work. Not the way you imagine they're working, right? Or you would like them to work. 1Password Extended Access Management is the first security solution that takes those unmanaged devices, those apps, those identities, and puts them under your control. It makes sure that every user credential is strong and protected. 1Password's been doing that forever. I mean, they really are the kings of this. But every device, and this is the cool part, is known and healthy. And every app is visible. 1Password's Extended Access Management. 1Password is ISO 27001 certified. They undergo regular third-party audits. They exceed standards set by various authorities. They're just a leader in security. 1Password's Extended Access Management, security for the way we work today. It's now generally available. This is good news. When we started talking about it, it was in beta, but it's now available to companies that use Okta and Microsoft Entra. Okay, is that you? It's also in beta for Google Workspace customers, so you can try it too. Secure every app, every device, every identity, even the unmanaged ones, especially the unmanaged ones, at 1password.com/Windows Weekly. It's all lowercase. 1password.com/Windows Weekly. We thank them so much for their support of Windows Weekly. Paul and Richard, they wouldn't be in Puerto Vallarta without the help of 1Password Extended Access Management. Thank you, 1Password. And make sure you use that address because that's how you tell them you saw it here. 1password.com/Windows Weekly. Okay, guys, let's talk about, I'm shocked. Big growth in PC sales. Huge.
I think that this was the best year we've had in 1 year, and by a very slim margin. In fact,
when you put it that way, wow.
Depending on how you look at this, flat. I would guess. But 254 million PCs sold last year, more than the 251 million sold the year before, but 1.3% growth, not great.
Better than a 1.3% decline.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, sure. So you have to go back to, last year was worse, but other than last year, 2006, to find a year where PC makers sold fewer devices.
Basically before the smartphone, before the iPhone.
That's right.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
The numbers are pretty clearly linked to people's mass migration to the phone being.
That's fascinating. You connect the two? I mean, a smartphone doesn't replace a PC.
No, but except that it does.
For a lot of work. For a lot of consumers, it does.
You got to remember, before the smartphone, before the iPhone, everything that we did that had anything to do with personal computing
had to be on a computer. Yeah.
So if we were still using Facebook and we didn't have phones, we'd all be doing that on our PCs, like Grandpa's doing right now. Still for some reason. But I mean, if you ignoring the pandemic, which was that weird outlier. I think we've kind of settled into where the PC market is. IDC and Gartner, one of them a little less fervently than the other, still believes we're going to see a big, punchy kind of upgrade cycle because of Windows 10 going out. But honestly, the way Microsoft is spreading that out over 3 years for businesses, I don't know. I'm not really convinced. I don't, there's lots of micro data in here that I didn't write about, but maybe is worth mentioning just briefly. There are rumors that the Snapdragon, there's a rumor that the Snapdragon X based PCs didn't sell like under 1 million units, and it's like, but okay. But how many million units of business class Ultrabooks are PC makers selling? And is that not closer to 30% of all of those computers? Yeah. I mean, it's probably not as bad as people think.
Well, and if you look at these PC sales are largely business. Yeah. Business doesn't buy first generation machines.
Yep. Let alone a new platform, right? Yeah. So that kind of staggers it.
And they don't buy when it's released. They buy when they're on cycle, when their warranties are expiring and they have to cycle out. So you can ship a new machine, but you're not going to get a shot at a business for 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, I think Microsoft and the PC makers, but we're working to try to make this seem exciting. And
they thought that wrapping it in AI would be the solution.
Yeah. Whereas I think wrapping it in 12 hours of battery life and no fan noise and instant on, it actually works. Maybe. But that said, we have been stung so many times by poorly performing or unreliable computers that who would even believe that? So I think we need some amount of time.
Yeah, there's no substitute for time on this. Yeah. The enterprise buyer in me is like, I'll take a second gen, thanks, and I might get one of the first to just experiment with.
Yeah,
and then I'm also watching and saying, how well does it play in Intune? What's its update policies? Right? Oh, we threw ARM into the mix, and ARM still isn't in the normal update cycle. Okay, like I just can't manage this machine. Why would I introduce it?
Right. I think it's gonna happen, but
I think it's gonna happen too.
But I also don't think it's going to trigger a PC revival in the sense of additional sales every year. But
it's going to scavenge sales from traditional platforms.
Yeah,
right. That's really what's going to happen. And that's fine.
Yep. So 250 million-ish devices, still pretty good, I guess, in the scope of things. I mean, I don't know where smartphones landed last year exactly, but it's going to be 1 billion, right? Yeah. So 25%, and then tablets are whatever they are, 100 something.
No, if you want to be sad, be in the tablet market.
Yeah. Well,
it turns out there's only one vendor.
And I was going to say, if you're not named Apple, you could be very sad. So, they keep trying.
People keep their iPads.
That's right.
Like they keep their iPads longer than they keep their PCs.
That's right. Yeah, and as a relatively newer platform, they're probably ever more reliable anyway. I mean, just less going on.
That's one of the reasons people replace PCs because they're breaking down.
Yeah.
Fans are failing. They're starting to squeal, and Windows software rots. iPads don't do that.
This doesn't tell us what the turnover rate is of PCs. I wonder what the turnover rate is. Like, do people keep them for 5 years?
They do. It's a lot longer than it used to be. It's the same
normal PC
trend you see with phones.
On the business side is 4 to 5 years now.
Yeah.
It used to be 2, but it hasn't been for a while. And it's because there's just no reason for it. You're not getting anything that matters.
Well,
so what you're seeing here is there's no growth in the market.
No.
Which is what you'd expect. It's saturated. Everybody wanted a PC, has one, and all the sales are basically turnover after X number of years.
Well, let me help with that.
Fewer people want them.
I was going to say,
so that makes it go down.
Very few PC. The problem one looks forward to getting a phone. It's exciting, kind of. I mean, I know that slowed down too, but that's where you spend your time.
Right.
The problem, the PC, just from a perception perspective, is that it is for work.
It's for work.
I know the gamers, and
I guess it's true. Why would I need a PC? I think you're right. Come to think of it.
Yeah. What do you need it for?
What do I need
it for? And this is where it came from in the first place. Right. PCs were too expensive for personal use. They were business devices.
Yeah. Right. And they've come full circle in that sense. I think that a lot of people, some percentage of people who this year going forward, they hit the end of the run with whatever PC and they start looking around. Some of them are going to go with an iPad. Some of them are going to go with a Chromebook even. Some of them might not go with anything. They'll be like, whatever I have else is fine. I mean, it depends.
I think you hit a point where you haven't turned on that PC in a long time. When you turn it on, it blue screens. And you're like, or it goes into an update cycle that takes an hour.
That's why I hate this thing.
You turn it back off.
You're like, forget it. Yeah. I mean, look, I know it's not true of everybody. Of course, people watching this and certain classes of business users, those people who need Excel, full Excel, are like, I'm never getting that on my PC. But
no, or they want that 40-inch screen, like usable 3840 by 21.
But this is the minority part of the market.
Group.
The good news is it's a lucrative part of the market. So even though this is, small, the market's smaller than it used to be. The chances are pretty good that the average price of PCs is much higher because the netbooks have come and gone, and these are higher quality devices.
Yeah. And I don't know if it did break these numbers out. Like, how many of those PCs are laptops versus actual desktop machines, right?
Oh, it's.
I think it's the vast majority is a laptop. People want a portable computing device.
Yeah, it's not even close. Yep.
And they're not happy with how small the form.
It's like I'd like to get something that's like a laptop, but I want it to lock me to one of the rooms in my house. Do you sell
one of those?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have this Kensington lock thing. You could put it around the.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, but you could latch it to yourself like you're a prisoner exchange programs thing. Like, yeah, I guess. But I mean, even just within a home, it's nice being able to sit out in front of the TV or lay on the bed or whatever.
So at some point, you're going to see not a decline. Yeah, you think?
Well, this is the question. I think we're kind of in this rolling.
I think the early oscillation is the smartphone revolution, and the second oscillation is the
COVID
pandemic.
Yeah. I think if you just kind of ignore that, you can kind of see what the trend really is.
It's slow 1%.
It's what Steve Jobs said. The PC is a truck. It's for people who are hauling. So who are coding, or they're doing video editing,
people love their F-150s.
It's what used to be a workstation, right?
Right. It's for work.
Yeah.
And you don't need a PC, just for yourself personally.
There are all these trends. We talk about the integrated graphics in PCs that can play games awesomely now. The ever less demand for add-in graphics cards and things like that. Like the PC is, it's matured.
They sold 250 million of them. We got to say
it's not bad. There's still
only.
So what that sounds like is there must be 1.5 billion out there. It sounds like there is that we said is a 5-year turnover.
1.5.
That's fair.
Yeah, 5-year turnover.
Look, there was a period of time right before the iPhone hit where we were looking at we were going to sell 500 million of these things a year. This was going up and up and up.
It's not going to
happen. Then something happened.
This passed.
Yeah.
So specialists need them. I need it because I'm a coder, for instance.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's a laptop. It's not a desktop. Gamers might want desktops.
Mm-hmm. So
video editors, 3D designers, they might want desktops.
Yep. Where big screens and peripheral devices matter.
Here's the irony. Apple could kill this market right now if it wanted to. They could just make the iPad more powerful. The chip's already there. All they have to do is improve the software.
They've been saying this for a while. They've been putting out ads that say, "What's a computer?"
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but they don't. But they haven't taken the technical steps they need to make this thing.
I don't understand that.
I don't either.
They still sell Macs. Maybe they don't want to kill their Macs.
Pro. Yeah. How about an iPad Pro OS?
Right.
And I think it's because Macs are lucrative from a unit, like a margin.
And they don't turn fast.
Yeah.
Where, I think Apple's got an incentive there. But the Mac Mini M4 is an unbelievable device.
Oh, I love it.
2 decks of cards.
Yeah.
It's tiny.
It's amazing.
It also
the horsepower is astonishing.
So you could put that into a smaller device that is more like, I don't know.
I would put that into a laptop. Frankly, and then
they will. That's coming. We'll see that soon.
Yeah. Anyway,
I love.
There'll always be a market for PCs,
but I'm a PC guy. I'm a computer guy.
Yeah. No, I am too. But we're also how old are we again?
Well, the other thing. Well, we use it for Zoom. Okay, so for podcasting, we need PCs. Well, maybe we don't. I
don't know.
No,
I've been doing the podcast in the morning on my phone. The picture quality is better than it is on my computer.
Gosh darn it! What a world we're entering.
Yeah.
And soon so the only thing that's tying you to this is a keyboard and a mouse.
Yep.
You have these user interface devices that you kind of still need, but AI and voice recognition someday may replace that.
Yep.
Then you really won't need a PC. You won't even need a device. It'll just be in the house.
You can see at the point
everywhere
where your phone is really your carrier of your identity,
right?
And that you can harness compute on demand.
That's right. Well, for instance, I'm wearing this. Oops, where is it? Oh, here it is. I'm wearing this AI device that's recording everything, sending it. Now, it doesn't have the power to do anything, but it sends it to the phone. So it's a little phone companion,
right?
And I think we're going to see more and more of that kind of thing. The phone will be the base station,
right?
And then I get insights on my screen, on my phone. Email, is that the last bastion? Phone's not great for email.
No, but there's there's younger generations now that are not using email for anything.
They don't use email at all.
Nope, that's where your Teams and your Slacks come into play.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gosh darn it. It's
Things
all
are changing.
Leo. Yeah.
Things are changing.
Well, we're going to have to kill this show. I'm sorry, guys, but there's no reason to do Windows Weekly.
Ourselves. I know.
Thank
In
goodness.
fact,
I could be drinking tequila right now.
I mean, seriously.
Right. Except that it's still a thing.
Yeah. Well, and
It's a thing, and it's now primarily enterprise.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would add a couple of things that a lot of gamers, right?
Gaming, yeah.
But also just creators, people who maybe they have a YouTube channel or a blog or a Substack or whatever it is. They're doing stuff like we're doing right now. Maybe they're out in the world, the travel blog guys who are out doing stuff, and, they need something. You can edit video on a phone.
Rick Steves has been doing amazing travel blogs with his phone for years.
Yeah, sure. But his TV show isn't made on an iPhone, right? It could be.
Could
but
be.
It's not.
Could say
But it could be. But it's
pretty
not.
sure there's some production done on a different device.
Yeah.
But it is the exception. That's a narrow pool, relatively speaking.
Yeah, but it's a lucrative pool too.
Yeah.
Like that's the point. Like the creator types, just to make it a simple term, or the gamers, small percentage probably of the overall market.
They're willing to spend money. They want a good quality product.
They want something good.
And let's face it, like the gaming industry is swinging PC again. The consoles have their problems.
Yeah, right. I mean, and PCs, like I keep talking about it, are awesome for games. New ones.
All right. Why don't you talk about something fun like 24H2? That's fun. Is it fun? I think it's fun.
So usually in February, March, but this year in January, because 24H2 is of such high quality. I know. They've reached this new phase in their staged rollout of the product where it's going out basically to everyone. So if you are as an individual, I mean, businesses can control this, but if you have a computer that is compatible and have not gotten it yet, you're going to get it now. And of course, this is that last year before the support ends without you paying for it. So they're also pushing it aggressively to Windows 10 users as well, who have compatible PCs.
They are willing to take the PSS hit they're about to take for going after home versions.
Yeah.
Because it's a big PSS hit. Right?
Yep.
They're going to get a bunch of calls. People are going to be upset.
Yeah, and unfortunately, in this case, there's reasons for it because 24H2, aside from just the reliability and compatibility issues, it is some fundamental lower level changes, whereas 23H2 was a minor update to, in fact, was the same code base as the previous version. So that was really easy. This one is actually a big update. So
it's an OS update.
Yeah,
it really is. It's not just a minor patch. It's a new version of the OS.
Yeah, it's the first version that makes the Windows 11 base hardware requirements start to make some sense. So, yeah. Anyway, but hey, damn the torpedoes, man. It's going out. So I don't know what they're doing, but they're shipping it to everybody now. So that's fun. And then this actually some interesting movement in the Insider program. I don't have this yet on my computer. Actually, let me test it again just to be sure. Yeah, I don't have it still. But if you have a Copilot Plus PC running on Snapdragon X, enrolled in the dev channel, which I've just described a pool of 7 people.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, you mean both people?
Yeah.
All 7 of you, listen up.
Yeah. And I'm one of them, and I don't have it. You will start to get an AI-powered Windows search experience, which Microsoft announced in October back with a bunch of other stuff they announced for these Copilot Plus PCs. It will come eventually to other Copilot Plus PC owners, meaning AMD or Intel-based. And I can't describe it adequately because I don't have it. But for people who like keyboard shortcuts, you probably know that Windows key plus Q and Windows key plus S to date have both brought up that search highlights box, the search box essentially, instead of the start menu. They both do the same thing. On my computer, Windows key plus Q now brings up this little goofer thing. So this is the beginning of click to do outside of recall. And the idea here is that I could put it on something and it will tell me what I can do with that thing. So it's like
a glowing mouse pointer, except there's a ball.
Yep. And it also is not working. So
right.
I just reset my computer before I came here. So this was working before. So I already had that feature. Now I'm going to get it again at some point. I'll keep trying on that. But anyway, so they got rid of that. But the Windows key plus S will continue doing search. And as I do it now on this computer, it's the old, the original, the standard.
Does it have to build up a database before it can do it right? Or?
Yeah, I think so. It's So I bet part of it is they're downloading an LLM or an SLM, I guess, right? Because this is a local feature. It's going to, and it's certain languages, but it's going to. This might be the thing that solves search, right? We talked about this before. It's going to contextualize search in a way, right? And so it works with a bunch of different document and image formats. And it works with OneDrive, interestingly, of course, but it will also work with other cloud storage services. So we'll see what this looks like, but it's going to be tied to this refined text action that's in the click to do thing I was just showing Richard, but no one else. So you don't even know what I was talking about. But there's also, I think it's like Windows key plus click So that does it too. And actually, that's almost working. See, it did a little ripple effect there.
Yeah, you had your whole screen ripple.
Yeah.
By the way, the first day we were here, earthquake.
Yeah.
6.2. It was a good one. It was cracks in the walls, all kinds of good
Oh,
stuff.
that's a shaker. Yeah.
But
woke us up.
unrelated to click to do.
It's like quick to do, only different. Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
I let the ripple across your screen and thought 6.2.
I don't want
That's
anyone
click
to
to
think
crack.
Microsoft did not cause that.
No, didn't make that earthquake.
Wow.
But
This is a new UX experience.
Yep.
This idea, and you're basically asking Copilot to participate in
search. Yeah.
like this is Stevie Batish's whole, the outside part where it's like, find me the Copilot appropriate for, and I'll point to something, and the Copilot will appear.
This is the type of thing I think AI is going to be. This is how we're going to know it. Just the contextual, like, what can I do?
Yep.
And it's going to expand on that list of things. It was like the big
and don't make me make the choice for what to do and how to do it.
Yeah. So I got to think about this. I think it was Office 4.0, the mid 90s. They added right click. Right. The Office did it first, then it came to Windows. Context switch. And that was the point. It was specifically context. Because I worked in a computer lab, and people would say, they'd be sitting there in Word or Excel or something, which I didn't know the products very well. And I say, how do I? And I have no idea. And then after a while, it was like, well, did you right click on it? And they're like, no. And they right click, like, oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of nice. And then
until Windows 11, and they sabotage that.
Yeah,
why don't we make icons you don't recognize? Yeah. Is it better now?
Yeah, it's like an eye test where both sides are blurry. You're like, honestly, they're both really bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is kind of, to me, is like the modern version of that. It's going to give you more contextual help with things. So you can click on an image and search for, like, show me other images like this, or tell me what this thing is. You can think of all the stuff it might do. But anyway, this is coming to Windows very slowly and only on Copilot Plus PCs at first. Although I have to think this is going to have to come to everybody.
Yeah.
But right now, early testing. In some ways, the more interesting bit, just because it's closer to happening, is if you look at the calendar, you will see that next Tuesday is the 4th Tuesday, which means it's week D, and it's going to be when we get the next preview update for our first Patch Tuesday cumulative update of 2025.
Right.
In keeping with that schedule, Microsoft, either today or yesterday, released a build of 24H2 to the release preview channel, which is what they do right before they bring it to the preview. To the preview update, right and stable. So we actually have this list of features. Like, these are the things we can expect to see in stable in February. And honestly, I'm not sure I heard about any of these before this week. I mean,
just came out of nowhere.
I kind of fully expected to be like, okay, I'm going to know what all of these things are. Like, no, not so much. So mobile hotspot, a feature in Windows, share your internet connection. It's going to support 6 gigahertz connections for Wi-Fi 6E, which I guess it doesn't. Obviously, it doesn't now, so that's kind of cool. Let me look on this computer. I started to see it on this computer. I'm not seeing it here now, but I will. It's coming soon. So File Explorer is getting a tabbed homepage. So instead of those kind of areas where it's like quick access, favorites, recent items, whatever, those are all going to be on separate tabs. And they're adding one for shared. And depending on whether you're a consumer or business customer, you'll see files and emails and other things that people have shared with you. And I think business users, you'll see things that have been shared in a group at work or whatever as well. So that's new. If you've ever used a computer with Windows Studio Effects, you know that you usually get like a little pop-up, but not always, right? Where you can control that stuff. So Microsoft added this thing to quick settings where you can, which is not, it was just Windows key plus A, where you can control it from there. But now they're just going to put it down in the system tray. So it's just there. So anytime you're in an app that is using the camera and can take advantage of Windows Studio Effects, you'll see a button in the system tray, and then you'll be able to get to the features from there, which is pretty cool. And then this one I don't quite understand. It reminds me of when Microsoft improved the quality of the icons that are on the widget icon, the widget area down there in the corner. So the description is improving the previews and animations that show when you mouse over apps on the taskbar. So when you mouse over apps on the taskbar, actually,
it tends to just show a miniature of the window.
It's a little thumbnail, yeah. So I guess quality of it's going to go. It's kind of hard to say because they don't show a picture of it. So I don't know.
You said animation, so it's like, please touch me.
It's
please touch me.
it's the thing that the way it appears.
Or will it fly around the room?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I hope so. Yeah. Hopefully there'll be like a purple and pink AI extravaganza. It's hard to say. So we can look forward to that. So next week, I bet we talk about that happening in the preview update, and then 2 weeks later, it will be in stable.
24H2 ADD edition.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's three more builds, that one this week and two from last week, that actually are kind of interesting, all of them. So yesterday or early this week, yesterday or the day before, I guess, there was a Canary build. Nobody really knows what Canary is, but whatever the hell Canary is, which is I think the first to include a feature that Microsoft announced at Ignite, which is what's it called? Admin. It's just admin protection, right? So admin protection is basically what Microsoft does with Windows Hello ESS. It requires you to authenticate every single time. In this case, you do anything that requires admin privileges.
Right, you elevate up.
Even when you're an admin.
We're trying to get to sudo, right?
Right.
We're really trying to get admins to not be in an admin account.
Yeah, so we're like, look, we get it. You're going to use an admin account. You can't help yourself.
Yeah.
Fine. But actually, you're going to do everything at standard user level protection. Yes. And if it requires an escalation, you're going to have to authenticate with Windows Hello.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's actually really cool. I will say
it's super important. Like, this is about just enough administration, right? It's really helping.
It's super important.
Yeah.
Super annoying too, by the way, but super important. It's super important. So they're doing that.
Now, I'm talking to organizations that have, when you escalate to admin privileges, they want flashing lights in the room, right? Like, they want them not at admin privilege because they're the reality
third break
now.
light effect.
Admins are being targeted by the black hats because they have the privileges. That's right. It's all the riskier, and everybody clicks on the wrong thing once in a while.
And the first user on any PC, if you're an individual, is an admin account too. I mean,
inevitably.
Yep. So that's good. Because they know. Look, I know some people do this. You might even do this, but some people will sign in the first time with an admin account, then create their actual user account, and then they'll authenticate against the admin account, but using the standard user account. Mm-hmm. That's very responsible, but very few people do that. So this is kind of basically forcing that on people with one account.
More so. I mean, it's you also call it UAC too, right?
Yeah.
It's the quickening that way. But this angle with Windows Hello, where while you're in elevated privileges, it's taking screenshots the whole time. And look, I've been the administrator accused of wrecking the production system, even though I didn't touch it. But they're like, you were the last person to log in that account because all we have is that you logged in with that privilege level. We don't really have a telemetry of what you did.
Sure.
I would want these screenshots.
Yeah.
These screenshots show what I did.
You're like, it wasn't me. I was browsing porn the whole time. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd rather an HR violation than taking down production.
Yes. Last week there were actually three, but two of Windows 11, one of Windows 10. So the beta build, which is tied to 23H2, right, is getting some new interfaces in the settings app, which is kind of cool. The Microsoft's been talking about this since last year, I think, but they're going to allow third-party developers to extend widgets on the widgets board and the widgets interface. And then the alternative.
Really looking forward to developers coming up with ways to make widgets go away forever.
Yeah.
Never bother us
again. And then alternative search providers for Windows Search in Europe because of the DMA. So that's fun. And then 22, this is 24H2. It's basically the features some of them are. So some of the features I just mentioned. So some of the stuff from Explorer, the taskbar, the Windows Studio Effects stuff, but a couple of others. OneDrive continuity, because Microsoft cannot stand that they're not Apple. And the idea there is that using OneDrive on your phone to do something, and the next time you go to your PC, it says, hey, did you want to keep working on that thing, whatever it might be, but on your PC, which I think is going to have limited success, frankly. But I appreciate what they're trying to do. Improved Windows Share, improved or extra keyboard shortcuts in the magnifier app that you'll be shocked to know weren't there to begin with. And then the biggest one of all, Windows 10 is getting the new Outlook app. So starting in the release preview channel, you can get that now, or you can just wait till next Patch Tuesday and you're going to get it whether you want it or not. As we say in Mexico, tómalo. So it's coming. And it's replacing the mail-in calendar app that expired at the end of last year. And then, this isn't really Windows, but I wasn't really sure to put this. And I had to say, I had to read this 3 or 4 times before I understood what was happening.
What does this mean?
Yeah, so Microsoft is making a subtle and yet not at all subtle change to what happens when you sign into your Microsoft account on the web, right? The way it works today is you sign in, you authenticate, whatever it is. You have 2FA, and you get through, and it says, "Hey, did you want to stay signed in on this computer? Like, if you trust it." I don't know that anyone even know what that meant, but
much less does it actually do anything.
Right. So the way, if it's my computer, my browser, I'm like, yeah, I want to stay signed in. I don't want to go through this all the time.
Yeah.
But now they're just getting rid of that. And if you sign in, you will be signed in all the time.
Right.
So you actually want to be careful with that, because if it's a shared computer, if it's a public computer, God help you, you don't want to sign into your Microsoft account, walk away from the computer, close the browser, doesn't matter. You'll stay signed in. Do not do that. So they want you to use like an in private or whatever your browser calls it, tab if it's not your computer. But basically they're saying, look, for this stuff to just work, we're doing so much interaction with your Microsoft account now that actually it would just ruin the user experience if you weren't always signed in.
They've been ruining the user experience for a long time. This is nothing new.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to make it better, but
right.
And I don't know that how many people actually, use kiosk machines for that matter.
I know.
Well, but if they make that dialogue show up less often, I think people will be happier.
So I don't think this is a common source of security problems, but I think it is a
common source,
low-hanging fruit. Kind of, we could fix this and it would solve one of the more egregious problems, even though it doesn't happen that much.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it actually makes a difference in any way.
Yeah.
Or people because once it stops popping up, nobody will notice that it's not popping up.
Yeah. Somebody sent me this on Twitter or one of those things, and I was like, I don't even know what this means, But then they announced it, and I was like, yeah, and I still don't think I know what this means, But now I get it, and I think people who use the Microsoft account like I do, you're like, look, it's my computer. Windows allow, I'm signed in. It's whatever. Yes, please stay signed in. It's fine. Like, it doesn't change anything for me personally, but I don't know who who's using a public computer with their Microsoft account. I don't know, but it's dangerous, I guess. So don't.
All right.
Dun,
Okay.
Done.
Dun, dun, dun. Well, we could talk about AI in just a second. How about that?
Yeah,
okay.
Let's do that.
How do you feel about that overall, in general?
Pretty
you feel
excited.
good about that?
Let me ask. I'm going to ask Copilot what I think about that.
Let me ask my B computer.
I think
What do you
really, I
think
think
of
very
AI?
highly of it.
I have to train this thing to give us show titles because it's pretty funny.
Right.
It gives me funny insights into the world. And somebody in the Discord said, "You should use that for show titles." Oh yeah, good idea. Let's just see what it thinks my daily memories. Frustration yielded a relief and cautious optimism amidst lingering health concerns.
Oh my goodness!
Wow.
Do you have lingering health concerns?
Well, I've been feeling poorly, but otherwise, no. Sunday, laughter and love filled the air, tinged with a hint of melancholy.
Yes. Tinged with a hint of tequila. Let's see here what's going on today, because it's been listening to the show. Yeah.
As I have. Yeah.
It's like, we found the weak link, and his name begins with a P and ends with a T.
Leo explores the humorous potential of AI in generating creative show titles. What? And reflecting on personal experiences amidst ongoing health issues. It's really focused on the ongoing health issues.
Yep.
You know who doesn't have ongoing health issues? AI.
AI never does.
Never does.
Our show today brought to you by US Cloud. I can't imagine a more appropriate sponsor for this show. US Cloud is the #1 Microsoft Unified Support replacement. We've been talking for a few months about US Cloud now, I think. They are the global leader in third-party Microsoft support for enterprises. They now support 50 of the Fortune 500. Now, why would you switch to US Cloud? There's actually 3 reasons. Let's start with money. Switching to US Cloud can save your business 30 to 50% over Microsoft Unified and Premier support. 30 to 50%. But that's only reason number 1. It would be no good if you went to a less expensive solution that wasn't better, and it is better. It's faster, twice as fast average time to resolution versus Microsoft. 2x fast, 200% faster time to resolution. They also offer features I think that are really great. This is a feature Microsoft isn't going to offer you. US Cloud has a new thing called Azure Cost Optimization. See, Microsoft does not want you to optimize your Azure cost. But frankly, as all cloud usage, there's a creep, right? There's Azure creep. When's the last time you evaluated your total Azure usage? If it's been a while, you got some Azure sprawl going on, a little spend creep. Good news, saving on Azure is easy with US Cloud. They offer an 8-week, they call it an Azure engagement. It's powered by VBox. And this engagement, what does it do? It identifies key opportunities to reduce costs across your entire Azure environment. With expert guidance, you'll get access to US Cloud's senior engineers. This is the third thing that they do better. So they're less expensive, they're faster, they're smarter. The US Cloud senior engineers have an average of over 16 years with Microsoft products, all US-based, and they will be there. They're the cavalry that comes in when you need them. At the end of those 8 weeks with the Azure engagement, you'll get an interactive dashboard which will identify, rebuild, and downscale opportunities and unused resources. Is Microsoft going to tell you that? Hey, you could save a lot of money, allowing you to reallocate your precious IT dollars towards needed resources, or just a suggestion, you could invest your Azure savings in US Cloud's Microsoft support. That's what a few of US Cloud's other customers have done. Completely eliminate your unified spend. Here's a quote from Sam. He's the technical operations manager at Bead Gaming. In a review, unsolicited, unprompted, he gave US Cloud 5 stars, saying, quote, "We found some things that have been running for 3 years, which no one was checking. These VMs were, $10,000 a month. Not a massive chunk in the grand scheme of how much we spend on Azure, but once you get to $40,000 or $50,000 a month, it starts to add up. Yeah. It's simple. Stop overpaying for Azure, identify and eliminate Azure creep, and boost your performance all in 8 weeks with US Cloud. Just one of many ways US Cloud can save you with faster, better support. Visit uscloud.com. Book a call today to find out how much your team can save. That's uscloud.com. Book a call and get faster, better Microsoft support for less. That's the 3. Faster, better, less. Microsoft support. uscloud.com. The #1 Microsoft unified support replacement. uscloud.com. We thank them so much for supporting Windows Weekly. Oh, and look at the view in beautiful Puerto Vallarta.
Somebody was asking, so figured I'd bring it up.
It's a perfect day, despite the earthquake.
It's a little hazy here.
It's a little hazy.
Yeah. It's pretty nice.
Well, haze is good. You don't want that direct sun beating down on you. Mm. Where are the ladies?
They are down at the pool,
letting the direct sun beat down upon them.
Hopefully
nice.
They're under an umbrella.
Do you like this resort? Would you recommend it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the Vedanta Resort in Nouveau is fantastic. It's been
You've stayed there before, or
we have. This is where I did the Hornitos show last year.
Or as I call it, horny toes.
There you go.
Wow. Now I'm thinking, because we need a vacation. Now I'm thinking this might be the place to go.
Yeah. Lots of choices. There's quieter parts and busier parts, like whatever you prefer.
Here's my question. And can you swim in the ocean? Because most of the places in Mexico you can't.
No, because
of riptides.
There's riptides, yeah. So you can do a little wading. I would not recommend swimming. The riptide risk is significant.
I don't see the red flags. Every time we've gone to both Cabo and Cancun, there's giant red flags and there's guards on the beaches saying, "Don't go here. You can't go in." Good.
And
good.
It's big, long, sandy beaches here, so it's a long walk to the water too.
Oh, okay. It looks pretty though. All right.
It's beautiful.
How are the tacos?
Unbelievable.
As good as Mexico City, Paul?
Man.
Don't make me laugh.
Okay. But they're the next best thing.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah. All right. We'll be right down.
This place
Honey.
So little to do with Mexico City. It's almost
it's not.
Well,
that's a resort town, right?
These are the tourist regions that Mexico set up, separate from where real people live, to make Americans feel okay.
And only recently have they started putting in highways so that locals can even get here recently.
Right. They didn't want locals to get there. Yeah.
That being said, I very much want to go up to Tequila and do a distillery tour, but it's still a 3-hour drive.
Yeah, there's nothing like driving on those Mexican roads. Yeah. I love Mexico, though. I love the food. The people are so warm. I just love it.
Yeah, it's a fantastic place.
Yeah, and PV, you can stay in town, so maybe we'll look at that. I want to stay at, there's a hotel called Casa Kimberly. It's the old Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton complex.
Yes, absolutely.
I'd love to stay there. They have rooms for each of their movies.
As you do.
As one does. I want to stay in the Night of the Iguana room, but that's, you know. All right, let's talk AI.
Yeah. So you might have heard about this little Microsoft OpenAI partnership.
So this is, to me, this was the lead story. Stargate, man. Stargate Plus, it showed that Microsoft was perhaps relaxing its grip on OpenAI. Yes.
See, I don't see it that way. I think of this more like the part. I think the important part here is that Microsoft gains access to OpenAI's technology. Everybody understands that. OpenAI exclusively to date has been on Microsoft's Azure cloud.
Yeah, was the original deal.
Yep. But Microsoft is one of the few companies that could even afford or even attempt to try to host their stuff.
But there's Oracle, right? That's who the other guy is.
But I mean, but this is so rare and so hard to do that there really aren't too many other places for this company to turn. Microsoft has struggled to meet the needs of OpenAI.
Sure.
So Microsoft also, sorry.
And by Oracle, you mean Amazon.
He said Oracle, but
wait a minute.
Oracle, it doesn't matter who. Oracle, Amazon, Google, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Well, I would be more afraid of AWS and Google if I'm Microsoft than I am of Oracle.
All right, but so Microsoft makes some percentage of everything.
Oracle's a big partner in this Stargate thing. I don't see those other guys.
Okay. Microsoft makes some, we don't know, but 20%, I think, is the thing that's been reported of whatever revenues that OpenAI makes. Microsoft pays for the infrastructure that this company uses, and it's not profitable. It's really expensive.
So you think they want to get out of it?
Nope, but I think if they could move part of it to other clouds, they'll still make money, and it will ease up their own infrastructure. I mean, this is kind of a win-win, you know? Plus, I think I said this to you earlier, Richard, this morning, like, the one thing that's kind of weird about this is OpenAI, in using other clouds, will start to have an idea of where each of them is good, bad, and different, whatever, right?
Sure.
So it might be kind of interesting if they're like, actually, man, we should have went with Google, you know, or whatever, like whatever it might be.
Well, one of it wasn't one of the stipulations on this is only if Azure can't provide capacity.
Yeah, they have a right of first refusal.
Right.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they didn't present the Stargate proposal to Azure.
Right.
And they said that, we really,
we're good.
We don't want to run your Oracle stuff on our thing. You go run it wherever the heck you want, but not here.
Yeah. So I don't know. We all know they're careening toward not being partners on someday, right? But I also feel like OpenAI is going to be as much of a relief to lose as it was a boon to get. You know, that so that if they end up going or just splitting their time and resources between different companies, that from Microsoft's perspective, it's going to be not happen quickly enough. So I don't know. I don't really see this as that huge of a deal.
Okay, I do.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it is another step on the path.
I think the huge deal is this. So Microsoft is joining with OpenAI. Larry Ellison is also on the stage there to create this. And Sun of Masayoshi Son of SoftBank, to create this. Now there are people who are skeptical, including, by the way, ironically, Elon Musk, who says, "I don't know what they're talking about. SoftBank doesn't have more than $10 billion." I've seen a larger number, like $30 billion, but the commitment is to $100 billion this year and $500 billion over the next 4 years, which is, by the way, an important number. That's how long Trump's going to be in the White House. Well. According to the Constitution, anyway, that's how long Trump's going to be in the White House. So this is a deal that is a big win for the Trump administration.
Sure.
But I think is also more. Well, I don't know. That's my question. To me, this is a fascinating. What they're going to do is build a giant data center, and they're going to go after AGI, and they're going to spend a lot of money doing it.
So
it takes a couple of years to build a data center. So.
Right. Yeah, I mean, 4 years is a fast timeline.
Microsoft is in this fiscal year, of which they're 3/4 of the way through, spending $80 billion on just AI infrastructure of their own. I mean, so
this could, and there is some sentiment. This is just a silly political statement. It has nothing to do with reality.
Well, and it might be,
and it could be, but I also think it's interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting, but I just don't think I don't think it's going to have any immediate impact, if any.
Well, and it's one thing to raise $100 billion to go build a data center. It's nothing to find the location, actually start construction, and also have enough power and water to operate it.
Yeah,
well, that's why maybe it's not realistic. Yeah, it'll all be in Arizona, where there's lots of water, right?
Yep. Yeah, nothing contested there. I don't know. And we'll see.
All right.
They
I
should
just
build
thought that
this
was
in
very
Mexico,
interesting.
by the way.
And the Microsoft subnote is that this is kind of an opening of Microsoft's what has been previously.
But I think it benefits Microsoft because I think they're tired of shouldering the load here.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm sure OpenAI is throwing proposals at Microsoft all the time for other things they want to do on Azure.
Yeah, and it's like, guys, there's physical limits to what we can do, and we're the only company that can do what we're already doing.
Yeah,
Well,
it's like we also notice they're not talking about building their own data center.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, if this was just OpenAI, they wouldn't be able to do this.
No. This is, but it's big names, big money.
Yeah, no, I know. But if OpenAI, the reason is OpenAI couldn't do this by themselves. Right?
Remember, also, President Trump negated Biden's executive order on AI safety, basically saying, "Hey, don't worry about safety. Let's go full speed ahead." His administration is very clearly,
of course, this is
all
why
about AI, right?
Yeah. Well, they're definitely embracing big tech in general.
Yeah. That's because of Elon's influence. But David Sachs is in there running this cyber czar of AI and Bitcoin.
Sure.
I just think it's very interesting.
We hit the
what? What are you looking at? I see you looking at each other. What are you thinking here?
One of our concerns doing this outside here is that somebody would start power washing the side of the building.
I don't hear it. Are you getting misted? Gently misted?
No. But there's some. I don't know. It sounds like a vacuum.
There's some kind of machine, but it may be gone in a minute too.
Yeah,
that's okay. We hear parades going by Paul's house in Mexico City. It's normal. True. This is all normal.
Right.
It's Mexico's a party. Let's just face it.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen. Earthquakes, power washing, parades. Any of the above.
Yes. The three pillars of Mexico society.
Big three.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm not trying to poo-poo this. I just think in the context of Microsoft, it's like, it's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
I think.
Okay. I think that we're going to watch what happens, and we'll cover this in greater detail. I'm trying to get some experts on intelligent machines.
Yeah, I mean, AI generally, or just from U.S. versus China kind of competitive thing, et cetera. It's I'm sure it's a big deal. But from Microsoft's perspective, I think people are looking, does this mean their relationships coming to unwinding? And it's like, I don't know. I don't really. This seems normal to me, but we'll see.
Okay. AI is one of those things where it's so funny. It's hard to have a real opinion. Is it BS? Is it real? Is it going to change the world in 2 minutes, or is it going to just fade away? Mm-hmm. And it's just really hard to know.
Yeah, I think all of those things may be true.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
If you were to go back to, I don't know, let's call it 1990, WordPerfect was selling their product where they had one floppy disk for the app and 12 floppy disks for all the printers.
For the drivers. Yeah.
The drivers, right? And then you could buy like a third-party spell checking module or whatever they called it. And you were like, and people were like, I think spell checking is just going to be built into word processors. And they were like, I don't know if that's going to happen. That sounds like crazy. Why would that even work? I mean, do we talk like that? I don't know. I mean, I feel like I think AI. I think AI is a big deal, but we talk about this. I think it's just 1,000 needles of.
Yeah, it's just a UX extension.
Yeah,
eventually.
It makes everything better.
Yep.
I mean, for the most part.
Yeah. And there are certain workflows that are interesting.
I mean, the news headlines are getting really creative. I mean, it's good.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know what's going on.
From my sort of Microsoft prism, I would just say it's fascinating to me that Microsoft is literally betting the company on this, where Bill Gates used that term 100 times, never meant anything. And now they're not even really saying it. It's like, no, you're betting the company on this. Is a lot of money.
He bet the company on internet and went full-born internet, worked out just fine. What he never did was bet the company on something that didn't succeed ultimately.
That's true.
And the pivot to the cloud was a big deal, right? Putting Windows from the center of the company elsewhere after 30 years, that's huge.
Yep.
This is Satya's play.
Yeah.
I think he might be overdoing it, but I get what he's doing. And right now there's no downside because nobody's holding his financial feet to the fire.
Right.
This company had so much cash, all it could do was buy back stock. Yeah. The fact that it's investing it in anything.
Now they have something to put that money into. Yeah.
Exactly.
And they're being aggressive. They're and I don't like how chaotic it is, but I have to say this is Microsoft being aggressive is something I've grown very uncomfortable with. It's been a while. It's been a long time.
Yeah. Well, and I think in general, it's a good thing when you get all these companies involved. Stargate is OpenAI, Microsoft, SoftBank, Oracle, MGX, which is a big investment.
Is the parent company of ARM, right?
NVIDIA, and the president, all kind of saying, "Hey, let's go after superintelligence."
Yeah, I don't know if they're doing that.
I think politically, I think this is about beating China, and from the perspective
which is fine.
Big
I don't
tech,
mind beating China. Let's beat China.
Everyone agrees on that. But I mean, but the big tech rallying around this administration is really about no more regulations, take off the shackles, and let us just eat unfairly to beat the rest of the world.
Put your pedal to the metal, and let's go.
So I'm
not against it. They say the build out has already begun in Texas. That's where they're going. It's in Abilene. It's a big data center in Abilene.
Okay.
So they're taking over an existing data center.
It's Oracle's. Yeah. Oracle's been building this.
That'll help. That'll get them going sooner. As long, of course, they're in Texas, so that means their electricity will be very unreliable.
Well, they're going to need a pocket nuke right next door is what they're going to need.
Yeah, if only one existed.
Well, Bill Gates has those that natrium things going. Maybe you can get that liquid sodium.
He does not even have the license to actually build the nuclear.
I know.
Site.
NRC has not approved it. Just the state says, well, you can break ground, but
they're allowed to build the turbine island, the part that would make electricity. They're not allowed to build the nuclear island.
Right. Yeah, that was the news last week. Yeah.
That's 10 years away then.
Yeah.
Really?
So Microsoft's press release did say Microsoft and OpenAI evolve partnership to drive the next phase of AI. It's evolving.
Now OpenAI started asking for crazy stuff, and we've said, go do it with somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Italy and Germany's relationship was evolving in the early days of World War II.
It's evolving.
It's
yeah, but who's going to be Czechoslovakia in this?
Yeah,
that's the question.
Right.
I don't. It's. Boy, I'd hate to be trying to navigate this right now. I'd hate to be Satya trying to figure this.
No, this is happening in real time. That's what's amazing about this.
It is.
It's so fast.
We thought it was crazy when they fired and hired Sam Altman in 2 days.
Yeah. Well, and Dark Satya showed up for the first time.
And Dark Satya said,
glowing eyes.
You may not.
Fix this now. Yeah.
I still don't think this is as big a deal as Mark Penn and Scroogold's campaign. But whatever.
I tend to
put it in perspective.
Dudes, I'm just telling you, PCs are dying. You need to find a new beat. I'm just saying. AI.
Well, yeah, and cloud growth is easing off, right?
Is it easing off?
Part of the problem is that the timing on this was impeccable. Yeah,
interesting.
That was
finally
the
they got
point,
something
right?
to use
when
all
the
of
AI
these.
Was making was when they were about to say, "Hey, our rate of growth on cloud is starting to go."
Yeah,
totally. It's perfect.
It's really interesting.
They have incentives other than actually ushering a new era of compute.
I mean, it's good for business until it's not.
Meantime, the FTC put out a report.
Oh yeah, what's the FTC think?
Well, I don't know that it actually is good for business. I'm still looking.
Is there anybody in the FTC anymore? I mean, I know they all went home. Who's
I'm pretty
running
sure
the
it's
place?
just a single light bulb swinging in a dark room.
I think this is the going out the door report.
Oh, okay.
Well, it is. It is.
Oh, it is. This came out on Friday. This is
the FTC.
So this is meaningless.
Yeah, this is just
the going out the door report.
The parting. Yeah.
Well, nobody's going to do anything, but they want people to know what they found.
Okay, but
this is their version of leaving a note in the desk.
Microsoft should never have bought Blizzard.
But this was just they started this a year ago, a year ago.
So they had a report.
And it was never it was never going to turn into some criminal action or anything like that. It was just, we want to understand what's going on. Honestly, the report's worth reading, especially for just mainstream users, because they do a pretty good job of explaining generative AI and what all this stuff means, and that's still kind of complicated stuff. But in the end, they didn't say anything profound. They said exactly what we know, which is that big tech is going to partner with AI startups to retain and extend their dominance in this market, and no one is regulating them. It's like, yes, you are correct. These deals were all structured to avoid regulatory scrutiny, that they are acquisitions by proxy, and they're done to prevent regulators from stopping them from moving forward. So, yep, 100%. So
Yeah.
that's it. Doesn't matter. No one's going to act on it.
It's kind of weak sauce because
I thought they did a pretty good job of spelling it out.
No, I think when you can't do anything about it, you at least put the report out there.
right. I'm telling you, it's a letter in the desk.
They put out the report.
They can hand it off to the next group, and they can do what they want with it. I'm pretty sure they're going to play record. They're going to play paper trash can basketball with it, but whatever.
Yeah, at least it's part of the public record.
That's right.
When
That's
the reckoning
true.
comes and they're up against the wall.
That's true. We warned you. Yeah, we warned you.
Yeah.
Right. Except we won't know that because AI will take over the news waves, and we won't be able to tell anyone anything. So,
areas to watch regarding potential implications of they say that it's concerning that all these companies are partnering. They say the partnerships could affect access to certain inputs such as computing resources and engineering talent. In other words, could suck up all.
They're just talking about things that are happening, right?
Could increase contractual and technical switching costs for AI developer partners. I don't know.
Say you're some small garage company that just started. And you're like, we did it. We have this AI Advanced. The only thing we don't have is compute. We got to go to
can't get it.
Google, Amazon, Microsoft, whatever. We're like, hey, we got to do this. We solved it. And they're like, yeah, we don't have anything for you. We can barely keep Game Pass, streaming going, let alone anything.
Okay, I'm gonna agree with them. There is a legit concern that AI is going to be in the hands of just this handful of big companies. And that there is not going to be any.
It's a certainty.
It's already done.
Well, I almost don't know that it was possible for it to be any other way.
Right. So
because
expensive.
in the end, it was all driven by data. So those who had collected the data in the first place had the option.
Yeah. So name the big cloud companies and then replace the word cloud with AI.
Yeah.
We're done.
How else was it going to come out?
Yep.
They also warn that the partnerships provide these companies with access to sensitive technical and business information others won't have access to. So it's really going to tilt the scales in the direction of the big companies.
The fun thing is they actually spelled out what all those things were, but then redacted it before they put it out in the public. So
can't tell you because it's private.
Yeah. It's worse than you think.
Yeah,
but we can't tell you.
Just look at these black bars. It's awful.
Yeah,
and they're saying that the companies are Microsoft, OpenAI, Amazon, Anthropic, and Google. Those are the bad guys in effect.
That is the cadre,
the dominant companies,
the cartel, as we call them.
Yeah.
The AI cartel.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. We're fine.
I'm going to get Amy Webb on to talk about this. I think this would be a good thing for her to address. She predicted everything that was going to happen because she's a futurist. She knew. She knew, and that was her warning.
What happened?
Yeah. She actually wrote a book about all of this, like years ago. The Big Nine, she called it. That's nine because she included Chinese companies like Baidu, and which she's right, of course.
Okay.
All right. Anything else to report in the AI segment?
All is well. Hasn't taken over the world yet.
Yep.
Would we know? Would we know? I think is the question.
Oh yeah, you'll know.
We'll know.
You'll get an email.
Hello, this is your new overlord. Just want you to know I like humans.
Yeah,
I think they're okay.
Your rent payments are now going somewhere else.
Well, we have a little adjustment to make in our relationship, and I think you'll enjoy your new role on Mars.
Yeah, I was going to say that adjustment is you're no longer necessary in this relationship.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what the oligarchs think. But who's going to buy their crap if they don't have us little people? That's what I want to know. Somebody's got to buy all these phones. All right, let's take a break. Then we can talk about the fun. The toy store is just around the corner. We're going to talk about Xbox. And, of course, because you guys are in PV, I think we should talk a little bit about tequila.
It's a good idea.
Tequila.
You insist.
I do. And I can't wait for the tasting. Our show today brought to you by Zscaler, the leader in cloud security. Enterprises have gone down, it was a natural thing. They've gone down the road of perimeter defenses, right? Firewalls, then VPNs, of course, so that the employees can get in to the network. Hasn't really protected you, has it? Breaches continue to rise. Ransomware attacks went up 18% last year over year. $75 million record payout in 2024. I know that's low. That's the people who said we're paying these ransomware creeps. There's many, many more that didn't tell anybody. It's not, look, we don't have to argue over the numbers. The trend is not your friend here. Part of the problem is that these traditional security tools, the perimeter defenses, expand your attack surface because they give you public-facing IPs for the VPNs, and they're immediately exploited by bad actors, and now more easily than ever with AI tools. Plus, these VPNs and firewalls struggle to inspect outbound encrypted traffic at scale. Why is that important? Because as soon as the hackers penetrate you, the first thing they do is start exfiltrating your company data so they can blackmail you, so they can see what you're up to. There's a whole bunch of reasons you don't want that. There's another problem. Firewalls and VPNs just assume once you're in the network, hey, you're good, you're golden, which means lateral movement through the network is trivial. You've connected users to the entire network. The hackers go around, they look for where you back stuff up, they look for your emails, they look for your customer lists, all that stuff, and they exfiltrate it with encrypted traffic and other leakage paths, which you're completely impotent. You can't stop. Hackers exploit traditional security infrastructure using AI now to outpace your defenses. It's time to rethink your security. And look, we cannot let the bad actors win. They are out innovating all of us and exploiting our defenses. That's why you need Zscaler Zero Trust Plus AI. It does some very important things to stop bad guys. It hides your attack surface, which immediately, you can see how important that would be. It makes apps and IPs invisible, so hackers don't have anything to grab onto. Eliminating lateral movement within your network because you connect users only to specific apps, not the whole network. And you continuously verify every request based on identity and context. It simplifies security management with AI-powered automation. And you need the AI because Zscaler is analyzing 500 billion daily transactions. AI sifts through them to find the ones that really matter and detect those threats. Hackers can't attack what they can't see. Protect your organization with Zscaler Zero Trust and AI. Learn more at zscaler.com/security. I hope you understand how important this is. Zscaler.com/security. You've got a partner. They're here. They're ready to help. Zscaler.com/security. We thank them for partnering with us. For supporting Windows Weekly, you do the same when you go to that address. Then they know that you saw it here. Zscaler.com/security. Okay, don't go to sleep, Paul. Wake up. It's time for the Xbox segment.
Yay. Whew, finally.
I'm sorry it took so long.
It's all right.
I blame myself.
Yeah, I kind of blame you too, honestly.
It's all my fault.
Yeah.
It's not true.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't remember when, a couple of months ago, Microsoft previewed this notion of a Microsoft Edge Game Assist feature, which is basically a mini game or Microsoft Edge browser inside of the game bar. And it is now available and stable. So you have to go find it in Edge and enable it. It's not there by default, but once you do, I'm doing this now just to look at it, you can bring up the game bar, and then one of the available floating widgets you can have is this little browser. And I guess there are going to be automatic experiences you get. So if you're, I'm using an arm.
Oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
So it's like a little walkthrough of the game that you can watch while you're in the game.
Yeah. So I just did like
cool.
a Google search for a game walkthrough just to see it. But I mean, there's a little they call it.
Oh, so you explicitly looked for it.
Well, I did because I'm not running a game, but depending on the game, it will actually just come up automatically, right? So which is kind of cool.
With AI. Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, it's kind of neat.
I see. It's like Clippy. I see you're playing,
well,
Crisis.
Look, no one who has played a video game of any kind has ever not gone to a web browser and typed in "how do I ... name of game."
Is that okay?
So,
That's allowed because I do that, and
of course, everyone.
I
does
feel like
this.
it's cheating.
No, come on. I'm trying to have fun. I'm not trying to crack a puzzle here.
Yeah.
That's true. It's not a test.
I got about 20 minutes for your puzzle, and then I'm just going to go get an egg.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Or you fail so many times it just gets frustrating. You're like,
actually,
I'm not here to be frustrated.
No, I'll go play
back in the
something
day
else.
when you'd go to GameStop, you'd buy the game and the book that goes along with it, right?
Yeah. So the web changed that. This makes sense. I mean, I think
I like it.
When they announced this, I was like, this makes a lot of sense. So, I like it too. So that's cool.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good. So it's there now.
Do I have to use Edge? I mean, to play do I have to be playing the? I'm not playing the game in Edge, right?
No, it's just a floating thing that comes up.
It's just a little bar.
You can pin it to appear if you want. Or
does Edge have to be my default browser to do that? Probably, huh?
That I'm not sure, but I do know that I switched the default search, and when I search in that, it uses my search, not Bing. So it does at least respect.
Oh, that's
that.
good. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I was, because you could picture them saying, "Hey, this isn't going to work unless you make your default search in Edge Bing," and it's
They
like
could have done that. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't do that. So
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm excited. It looks like the new Xbox Game Pass is adding Mexico Power Washer. That's going to be fun.
Yeah,
that's going to be fun. I can't wait to play that.
It's called Agua Gigante. So every month or every 2 weeks, obviously there's new games on Game Pass across whatever multiple platforms. This is actually a pretty big month, not for Activision Blizzard
Look
games,
at all
because why would it be?
There's 14 titles,
but there are a bunch, and one of these is kind of curious. So one's called Far Cry New Dawn. I assume this is sort of this is like an add-on for the latest.
I love Far Cry.
Far Cry
is a great game.
I do too.
Beautiful game.
Yeah, Sniper Elite Resistance.
Spin-off of Far Cry 5.
Okay, so it's a spin-off.
Oh,
all right,
this is my game.
It looks like it's the same.
Citizen Sleeper. Do you sleep in the game? Is that the?
Now you're talking.
Now we're
I don't
talking.
sleep very well, so I would do poorly.
Yeah. I noticed none of these are Blizzard titles.
Right, that's what
Not one.
Am I giving away your thunder here? But
no, you're right.
I just looking through and go, is there any of these Blizzard titles? Like Far Cry, that's Ubisoft.
Yeah. I don't see any.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
The shady part of me.
I like that. Yeah, that looks kind of fun. Orcs Must Die, Death Trap, hilarious.
Awesome.
So anyway, pretty good. So that's nice. That's nice.
That's nice. That's nice.
And then tomorrow, next Thursday, which is tomorrow, we're going to get this online event, Developer Direct, which is a live stream, and they're going to show us gameplay from a bunch of games. Most notably, the one is the new Doom game, right, which is rumored now to be coming out in May. So Doom: The Dark Ages, which is the third of the new generation Doom games.
This has completely replaced E3, hasn't it? This is just nobody's going to.
This and the 7 or 8 others they do over the course of the year.
Yeah.
Yes. Right?
Why would you bother? Right?
I know. Why exactly?
Yeah.
So you want me to go physically to a place so I can see a game?
So I can watch this video? No.
I'm just going to download it. No, I think the world. Yeah, the industry is caught up. I think.
Yep.
In that sense, which is fine.
Yeah.
So I'm mostly I'm looking forward to Doom, but there's other stuff in there that looks really interesting, and Avowed, for example, which is kind of amazing. So we'll see, and I wouldn't be surprised if there weren't a few we don't know about. But the biggest news of the past week was Nintendo finally came clean on, finally teased the Nintendo Switch 2, the creatively named sequel to what was that other thing called? The original Switch. So, it's a bigger Switch. It's whatever percent bigger. People have done these like deep dives, like measuring it and figuring out how big it, whatever. So whatever. This is obviously a proven formula. I think it's going to be very successful. I'm looking forward to finding out how powerful it is, because there are rumors that this thing, that it's an ARM chip inside, and it could be 3 to 4 times as fast as the original, which would be kind of cool.
But nobody bought the Switch because of its high quality picture or speed.
Yeah. No, they bought it because the games were awesome.
Yeah.
And
they
now
had great games. Yeah.
Yeah. So if they can add performance and probably resolution improvements, I think, and it's going to play most of the old games, right? Of course. I think this is going to be a big deal, obviously. So looking forward to this. I guess I said, did I say May? No, May was the Doom thing. So April 2nd. And the original trailer or the original video they released was the UK version. So everyone's like, awesome, we're going to find out more on February 2nd because they wrote the date, 4/2,
right,
2025. And it's like, no, that's April 2nd, guys. Sorry. Yeah. April 2nd, we're going to learn more, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't know more.
And they wouldn't go for April 1st? That seems sad, really.
Well, I obviously don't want to hit April 1st, but I think that April thing is not coincidental because Nintendo's fiscal year ends at the end of March.
Right.
And their goal is to become the best-selling console of all time by then. So that might be their big announce. Like, now that we are the biggest in the world, we are going to do the next thing.
Yeah.
So I think that's the timing. So that's fun. Like, that's really good.
Yeah.
And is that everything? Or I guess that's it. I thought there was more, but I think that's it. All right. There you go. There you go.
There you have it. Well,
that was a good one.
Well, I guess I can't believe this. Maybe it's because you have a date at the pool.
I thought we were going to go long today. No, I did. I looked at this and I was like, man, how are we going to get through this?
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me do one more break. And then, believe it or not, here we are at the back of the book, ladies and gentlemen. Our show today brought to you, I told you about some of the sponsors, but really, to me, the most important sponsor of the show is you, our listeners. We do it for you. That's the whole point of what we do. Well, there's 2 points. I'll confess. There's a selfish point, which is I like hanging out with our hosts. And I am trying to learn more about all these subjects, and what a great way to do it. Maybe you feel the same way. You get to hang out with us, learn. We are all in this together, and we are headed into a maelstrom in the next 10 years. Technology is going to change in every way possible, and I want to be here for those 10 years and keep giving you these shows. Now, the good news is we have advertisers, and they do support us, but they don't support us truthfully at the scale we would like to. I mean, we've had to close the studio. We've had to let people go. We've had to cancel shows. That's why we started the club a couple of years ago. Club Twit is an extra revenue stream that can make all the difference. Right now, it's only about 5% of our overall revenue. I'd like to increase that. Heck, if we get it to 100%, we wouldn't need advertisers. We could just do it all for you. I don't ever want to do a paywall, though. I'm not a paywall guy. I want to make sure everybody who wants to see the show can. There'll always be ad-supported versions of our shows, but if you want to support what we do and you want ad-free versions of the shows, you want video for many of the shows that we don't put out in video in public, like Hands on Windows, Paul's show. If you want to join us in the Club Twit Discord, which is a great hangout, that's my favorite social networks. We're smart. I mean, imagine a social network where it's just smart, interesting, creative people with one easy subscription. Come boogie down in the club. Thank you, Joe. He's been making magazine ads for Club Twit. That's just one of the many fun things that happens in the Discord. I love it. I love it. We also have events, special events. We've got some coming up, Home Theater Geeks. You can watch it live. You can always hear the show after the fact, but you can watch it live, iOS Today. Chris Marquardt's Photo Time coming up February 6th. Mike is going to do another Crafting Corner February 19th. And we are going to set a date for Stacy's Book Club. That's coming up. So we have little, in-club parties. It is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. And I invite you to join the club. It's only $7 a month. And you get lots of benefits. You can pay more, by the way, if you'd like. Visit the website, twit.tv/clubtwit. And if you're interested, and I would be very grateful. You Club Twit members really make all of this possible, and they make all of us feel good knowing that you like what we're doing. One other thing you can do to help, whether you're a club member or not, that's take our survey. As you know, we're not able to spy on you. This is a podcast. It's an RSS feed. We don't know anything about you except the IP address you use to download the show. Now, that's fine as far as I'm concerned, but once a year we do a little survey. It's a voluntary survey. We would like you to do this just so we get to know you better, helps us decide if we're doing the shows that you want. It also helps us with advertisers. We don't tell them anything about you individually. We can't. But it's nice to know in aggregate that there's a certain number of you that are IT decision makers, things like that. So if you will, when you go there to sign up for the club, also twit.tv/survey. We'll leave it up for another week. It's nice when we have a large number, then we know that those answers are more valid. Twit.tv/survey should only take you a couple of minutes. And thank you for that as well. We now take you back to Puerto Vallarta, where Paul and Richard are relaxed and ready to go with the back of the book. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right. So start with your tip of the week, Paul.
Yeah, we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but now that AI is becoming so widespread, right? Apple Intelligence is going to be opt-out any day now, as of iOS 18.3 and the other releases. Microsoft, Google, et cetera, putting it in all their office productivity services. I use Grammarly and some other tools for spell checking.
So you
checking,
use some paid tools. That's a paid tool, right?
What is
Grammarly?
I don't actually pay for Grammarly, but yeah, you could.
There's a free version, yeah.
There's a paid version as well, but yeah, I think it's kind of like you were saying, Leo, that you pay for a bunch of different services, which makes sense.
That's my job.
Yeah, for what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think there are enough options now for people that we should all be looking at this and trying to figure out what makes the most sense for us and where the best services are for what it is we're trying to get done. And look, I mean, most of this is going to be your texting or writing an email that says, "Hey, this could be better. Or this is spelled wrong." That stuff is super helpful, but depending on your work, it makes so much sense to integrate it into your workflow where it makes sense, right? So I didn't show Richard this yet, and I'm not going to do it now. It doesn't make sense. No one can see this, but I've been working on this project I'm doing in Visual Studio, and increasingly I mentioned this last week, GitHub Copilot, but I've been for the past week hammering on this really gross, just difficult thing that Windows Presentation Foundation just comes up short, where you kind of have to programmatically scale through this visual tree to find a control so you can do something to it because there's no way to access it directly. And I've written 3 different versions of this version of the app to try to figure it out. And this morning I just started over again because I wanted to write about it and how hard it was. And then I wrote the name of I wrote it differently this time too. I gave one of the methods a slight. I broke it down into modules. So one of the methods had a very descriptive name, and then GitHub Copilot filled in 4 lines of code, and I'm like, "Yep, that does it."
Wow.
And the thing I had written, thing I had written was so complex. By the way, did the job. I did it. I'm actually super proud I figured this out because it's not very well documented, but I nailed it. No, I didn't, because what I did in 30 lines of code, it was like boop, and it was like yikes.
There's a better way.
Yeah. So look, we can be indignant about this. We can be proud, whatever it is. But I'm telling you, we're at the point now where, depending on what you do, I mean, everyone does different things, obviously, but there's something out there that can help you dramatically, and oftentimes it will be free. I think it's time to stop pretending otherwise and take a look at this stuff. I
just like playing with it, frankly.
Yeah. Yes. I mentioned this last week. I think we were at a family event over the holidays. There's a guy he's not really my brother-in-law. He's like the brother-in-law of my brother-in-law or whatever, but super nice guy, whatever, normal human being, mainstream, not technical, pays for OpenAI, ChatGPT, chats with it all day long, every day. And he's super into health, fitness, and wellness stuff. And he just uses it. It's crazy. I talked to him for about 2 hours, and it's just a normal human being. And I think this is the inflection point. When my friend Chris asked me about whether he should get an iPod, was one of those moments, in the distant past now, but where someone who's just kind of a mainstream person is like, I've heard about, or in this case, am using what is a fairly advanced new modern tool and seeing real value there, and this is a huge problem, I think, in the technical space where I think a lot of people just don't want to change. They don't believe it, So I don't know what to tell you other than try it, please, because I think you're going to be really impressed. Depending on what it is, obviously. But I mean, it's come such a long way, and I don't know what 7 stages of grief you have to go through to get there, but at some point you will come around because you'll notice everyone else is getting ahead in life and you aren't. It's happening.
It is a productivity booster.
Yep.
For certain areas.
Yep.
And in certain ways.
Yeah.
You have to find the parameters that make
I
sense.
think you could also be an AI denier at this point and just say, I will never use it, and I don't like it, and I Want to live in a log cabin, if you don't mind.
Try having a daughter who makes her living as a webcomic artist. Like AI art is very threatening to her.
I bet it is.
Oh no, of course. But an AI denier at this point is like a flat earther. It's like, I'm sorry, but you're not paying attention. Like, I get that you have strong opinions about something that you've never actually researched in any meaningful way, but you and Shaq are in the same area.
I think there's going to be a human first movement where
I do too.
You're already seeing it in the art and music spectrum.
Yeah.
Yep. It's going to be incredibly expensive though, because this art, like the artisanal human made creative item, or whatever. But the story I tell all the time and have told on the show is just this notion of how I use it, which is creating this artwork for the articles that go on the web. I write on many days several articles, and I don't use AI art for every one of them. But if I use this once or twice a day, there's no human being on earth I could go to and say, here's the idea in my head, make 3 versions of this picture, and do it instantly, and then show them to me, and then I'll say yes, no, or indifferent, and then maybe ask you to do more, and then I will pay you nothing for this service. How does that sound? Yeah. Nope, you're not going to do that? Interesting. So, I mean, this is a problem. Now, that's not this isn't replacing someone's job, right? In this case,
you just wouldn't have the art.
It just wouldn't happen.
You'd use stock photos.
I'd use stock photos, exactly. Yeah. So it will. Obviously, it's going to replace jobs. I'm not trying to talk anyone out of that. But job losses are sadly a fact of life with any new technology.
Mm-hmm. And some of them are foolish, right? You're seeing companies who dump all their staff to implement AI quickly find out that it's not that simple, and they've just crippled their businesses, right? Like there's a lot going on here, but it is a twitching moment.
Well, we talked about this. The advent of photography meant that people who could create oil paintings of a family were no longer in demand, and then the advent of digital photography meant that professional photographers were no longer in demand. It doesn't mean they go away 100%. No. It's there are still some people doing both.
I have a picture of my great-great-great-great-grandfather on my wall that an itinerant painter in the 1830s went around, and he'd go around in a wagon and he'd say, paint your portrait for $1.50, and I have it. It's an amazing thing.
You know that when photography first started, that the reaction of, say, painters at the time was exactly the AI denier response, which was, let me get this straight. They have to hold perfectly still while you take this stupid photo, and then you won't find out for a long time if it even came out. And half the time they're sitting there with their eyes closed. Yeah. It's black and white.
It gets better when you think about daguerreotypes, and there's a non-trivial chance that you will set fire to yourself and cause an explosion.
They're like, this will never take off. Oil paint and tungsten oil have never. Oh wait,
look at the church's missives about Gutenberg's press. Right? People get affected. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think I've come full circle on this stuff. I don't know. Let me try that. I'm not sure I pay directly for anything that's literally AI, but I pay for products and services that use AI. And that's going to be something we don't even say anymore because, of course, they will all do.
They're a productivity amplifier like your laptop and the internet.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's just another layer of that.
That's right. Right.
All right. Okay. I'm ready to use another browser. You got any ideas?
I do. So actually, this is getting interesting. I know I've recommended or talked about Opera in the past, but this recent announcement was interesting to me because they have a sidebar. Now, lots of browsers have sidebars, right? Big deal, right? But they also have I don't know what they actually call these things. They probably just call them sidebar apps. But one of the problems I run into, and Richard could see it now if he looks at my laptop, is I have whatever browser I use, I have 6, 7 little these things that I pin.
Right.
They're services that I want to be able to access every single day in every browser, right? So it's email, calendar, some social networks, and actually that's the best way to describe it. So I use them all day long every day, but they're sitting there sucking up browser resources, and a browser is just sucking up computer resources. Most of the time, I'm not actually using those tabs, but I have to keep them open. And there's several other tabs I also just have open in the general course of a day. But there's this model that exists in mobile where if you have messaging apps or social media apps, you can be notified when something happens and you don't actually use the app. It's not taking up resources when it's not sitting there in a browser tab or just open on your device. And that's what this sidebar thing does, right? So they added last week, it was support for Blue Sky, Discord, and Slack, all three of which I use, by the way. I don't need all three open every day, all day long, but I do. Two of the three I do, and Slack I use, and Discord too as a standalone app. Blue Sky is one of those things I keep pinned in the tab. So these things can be installed as, I'm going to call them sidebar apps, and they will notify me when something happens. When nothing is happening, they're not taking up resources. They're just like mobile apps. And maybe they're taking up some small amount of resources. I'm not actually 100% sure about that. And there are other things going on, but that's actually very interesting to me. Like, what if I could have all of those services that I have pinned one day just part of a sidebar? Like email's a classic example, but also social networks where I go use them when I need to, or they alert me when there's something new, and otherwise they're not taking up resources. Like, that's actually, not to mention just the UI space too, right? Because you can hide the sidebar, et cetera, et cetera. It's kind of like, I don't know what to call this. So I guess it's an alternative to the way I use a browser in a way that I think makes some sense. So I've been testing it. I since I came here, I've actually just been using Edge again, but like, the Opera browser, I have it set up the same way. I use the same tabs, whatever. But I have these, all the services I use are over here, and I don't pin those. And I feel like I'm going to go back from time to time. And as all of the services I use become these sidebar apps, maybe maybe it becomes this more lightweight, better experience. Just Rich is like, yeah, probably. You've never used technology, really. That's not how it works.
No, there's one web view. It consumes the same amount of memory for every instance, and the fact that you're just embedding a few of them and calling them something else, is it a web?
No. They're configured to check the accounts. So in other words, the way it actually works is Messenger is not sitting here running, but there's a background thing
catching
it will what do you call it? Like when it alerts you, that form of notification is I can't think of the term for some reason, but it's the same way mobile works, right? Yeah. So you have all these messaging apps on your phone or whatever, social media apps or whatever. They're not actually sitting there taking up a lot of resources, but they will ping you when something happens. So that's actually pretty smart. That maybe that should be part of the whole web architecture thing. I don't know, but they're kind of getting around it in a neat way. And they do other things around media playing and pop up, picture-in-picture video, et cetera, et cetera. But just from that perspective, I was like, okay, this is actually really interesting. So that's
cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Cool.
Hey, guys, let's talk about Runners Radio. What's coming up?
I'm excited.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. Nicely leading up to the fact that we're doing the Microsoft Fabric Community Conference at the end of March, I have a show with Anna Hoffman this week, who hasn't been on in a few years. Brilliant lady. Calls herself Analytic Anna for a reason. She's been in data analytics for forever. And this is specifically about an announcement that came out at Ignite about the fact that you can now run a SQL Server 2025 instance inside of the Fabric workspace. Now, why would you want to do this? In these early stages, especially, very much a greenfield thing. But the point being, if you're building an app that its data is going to be key to analytics, you might as well position the data as near to the analytics system as you possibly can. And so this is that option to just say, here you go, stick with the database it runs in the context of Fabric, so you don't have to do any data syncing and the like. So you get quickest access to analytics and can be part of the real-time experience. And it's just one of those folks that knows this whole problem space backwards and forwards, and so walked us through some very rational scenarios for what is definitely a V1 implementation. Because I immediately went at her on the brownfield. It's like, okay, got an existing database, want to? She's like, easy text. Like, okay, you're going to need to do a few things. Like, there's specific configurations. It's a managed instance of SQL Server, which is fine. You just need to know the rules. But sort of getting the reality that we're not just about collecting data, we're about being able to do stuff with it. And this makes it easier to do that.
Hey, look at that bottle of tequila.
Look at that bottle.
Tequila.
Well, last week when I was here, I went and grabbed a bottle of whiskey from the commissary because it was Buchanan's, and I'd never talked about Buchanan's before, and it's hard to find in Canada, but easier to find in other places. So that's why I went that way. But oddly enough, I've been drinking tequila lately with my friend.
Well,
and
there you go.
I thought we should probably talk about one of them. And this particular one is the Flecha Azul. They're extra añejo.
What does that mean, extra añejo?
Really means extra old.
Okay.
That's what it really comes down to. So we've talked about it before, but let's quickly recap. The generic name for agave-based alcohols is mezcal.
Yes.
Tequila is a subset of those mezcals, specifically made in particular regions like Jalisco and Nayarit, Michoacan, and Guanajuato. We are in Nayarit right now because we're on the north side of the Amica River, but Jalisco is right there, and that's where Tequila is. And Tequila is a town full of distilleries. The blue agave plant grows best at high altitude, prefers 1,500 meters or higher, 5,000 feet or so.
That's hot. Wow.
It's a big succulent, just like the things that are growing around your house that don't die easily.
You're a big succulent.
A big succulent. And of course, you've seen it. It's got the spiky plants and so forth. But the part that you want to make into tequila is called the pina. It's right in the middle. It takes about 1.5 years to grow to maturity before they start chopping out the pina, and then they're ready to make tequila. Now, there are complex carbohydrates in that pina that are not particularly good for making alcohol, so you have to break them down. And the traditional method is to bake them. So they have stone or brick ovens that they cook them very slowly on. If you've had mezcal, it's smoky, and that's a byproduct of this cooking process when cooked with charcoals and things that introduce those flavors, very much the way peat is used to dry barley malt in the Isla and other related whiskeys. There are modern processes now to improve the overall yield and performance of making pinas, where they use extraction, diffusion, and things. But the traditional methods are more fun, including that they actually use this tahona, this big stone wheel, to crush the roasted pinas, often pulled by a donkey these days, typically a machine. Then now that you've crushed it down, you've squeezed the juice out of it. Now it's time to make some alcohol, so you need to ferment. They do use brewery yeast in some more industrial process, but traditionally, again, the area of tequila has a lambic yeast, a resident yeast that tends to inoculate these tanks. The fermentation rate is relatively slow, typically runs for several days. And if you're careful, you control that so that you get the product you're actually expecting. And you essentially make a wort that they call musto. 6 to 9% alcohol. We typically call that brewer's beer on the whiskey side, but it's very much the same process. And now you distill. Normal, typical tequila distillation is a 2 distillation process using initially a column still. They call that shredding. And they get up to about 20% or so of alcohol, and then they do a rectification step, which should be the traditional name, the proper name. It is a kind of pot still called a rectifier. It's a little bit different. It also tends not to be made of copper because agave doesn't have sulfur in it like barley does, so you don't need the copper for the sulfur chelation. And copper is expensive and tougher to take care of and so forth, so they tend to just use stainless steel rectifiers, and they typically come out about 65% after the second pass. There are some folks who do a third pass, but, they're weird. It is common in tequila at that point, at the high distillate level, to then do a chill filtration step, and that is to avoid, as we remember the term, flocculation.
Yes.
Which is the tendency for the alcohol to be cloudy when cold. And there's a reason for this, because typically, especially in Mexico, they don't even serve the tequila at 40% alcohol. They like 38. You don't see that abroad because 40 is a magic number for what is a spirit. But here, if you're buying domestic tequila for consumption, you'll find it mostly 38%. And it will cloud very easily. And that's why there's a chill filtration step. Now, if you simply cut the product to 40 or 38% and bottle it, you've made blanco or silver tequila, the most common kind. A lot of folks talk about this as the only true tequila because it only tastes of the agave. As soon as you put it in a barrel or anything, you're introducing other flavors to it. Now, if you put it in an oak barrel for a few months, you make a reposato, also known as rested. And that's typically only a few months. And it gets a little color. It'll be a bit straw colored. And it has a slightly different flavor because the wood's now playing its game. You put it in for a year, and you've made an añejo. Typically, 1 year is
so it's not that long they age it for.
No,
yeah, it's not
but
like
the extra añejos are 3+ years. So that's about as long as you typically see tequila. And that it also changes the barrel behavior. So reposado is often, while they're only in a barrel for a few months, these barrels are enormous, 20,000 liters, like multi-1,000-gallon barrels. But as soon as you get into añejos, they go down to 600 liters, or what we consider a typical 50-gallon barrel. And the extra añejos almost exclusively. You will also find in the longer aging that they use bourbon casks. Why? Because there's lots of them, and they're inexpensive, and they introduce a nice flavor to the tequila. And so this is an extra añejo, and it was indeed aged in bourbon cask. So Flecha Azul is a new manufacturer of tequila. It was founded only in 2020 by a fellow named Aaron Marquez with his friend Abraham Anser. So Aaron Marquez is a Mexican native, born in Mexico, but he immigrated to the U.S. in the early 2000s, was educated in Oklahoma, and went into the oil industry. He is well known in the oil industry. He created a company called Wildcat Oil Tools. He's one of the fracking billionaires. So made his money in the fracking explosion of the Permian Basin. In fact, today he's now one of the board members of Permian Resources. Abraham Anser is born and raised in Mexico, and he's the #1 PGA golf player in Mexico. So these two are friends, and they decided they wanted to start making whiskey. And they want to do it very traditionally, as they could afford to do so. Within a year or two of starting, they got Mark Wahlberg on board as a major investor.
Oh, is this Marky Mark's tequila?
This is Marky Mark's tequila, right?
That makes me like it less.
Well, look, what I want you to understand here is this
Boston
is a
tequila.
This is a professionally. This is wealthy people decide they want to make a whiskey, but then also chose to do it in very much traditional style. So how they actually make the whiskey is they went to one of the oldest distilleries in tequila. The Oredain Distillery has been around since the mid 1800s.
Wow.
And they are super old school. They have their own brands and so forth, but they agreed to make their whiskey following a particular approach. The Oredain Distillery believes firmly in the stone oven roasting method of Pina, so they use that traditional method. They still use the roller mill, the Tajonas, although again mechanically operated, but they don't like the other extraction methods. They have modernized fermentation and distillation for reliability. So stainless steel tanks for fermentation in a sealed process, and then stainless steel column and pot stills. And some of their products are triple distilled, but not this one. And it has spent 3 years in bourbon casks. I couldn't find out which one, but it's probably Jack.
Forget that Marky Mark had anything to do with it, Paul. What do you think?
Well, rule number one is it good? Right?
Yeah, rule number one, is it good?
What I like in tequila is that pepper note. And this pepper note is there still, which is not easy to do in an extra añejo. An extra añejo often takes a lot of the agave flavors out, which is why a lot of tequila aficionados purely want Blanco, because they just want the pepper note. But there's definitely wood in this. Yep. It's bourbon, so it's a little sweeter. It's got a lot of heat, which is surprising. It's only 40% alcohol, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of heat in this. So I appreciate that very skilled tequila makers made this for what is totally a nouveau marketing company. Flecha Azul has gone everywhere. They're at this. They've clearly cut a deal with this resort. They have specific displays for Flecha.
Oh, yeah.
They have their own cocktails on the menus. It's all about
marketing. Yeah.
It's all about marketing. And so by that token, I did check. You can find this tequila in America. I saw it on Total Wine. However, as
it's
an extra
at the Packy in the Boston area.
It's a little pricey. This is a $300 bottle of tequila.
Ooh. Yeah. Paul, now how much would you pay?
That's how much I did pay. How much was
Sure. So my friend Paul decided he wanted to buy the bottle. I don't think he checked the price before he did.
Oh, my God.
And so
it better be good. Is it good? That's a lot of money for tequila.
It's pretty darn good. Is it $300 good?
You're not going to make a margarita with that, though.
I'm staying here for 5 days for free. So $300.
Okay. Big deal.
It's kind of a,
Yeah.
It was a nice gesture, and I'm glad to have got a chance to taste this.
Yeah, me too.
And we will finish it before Friday because I'm not taking it home.
I know.
You
a bunch
drunk
of the little TSA containers.
Yeah. I've had people been bringing me whiskey now in like 3-ounce containers. They put it in their toiletry bag so I can try stuff.
And then here's the empty bottle plus the 3 little containers.
Yeah, that's what they've been doing. But no, this is lovely and warming.
It is. Yeah.
You know, in that sense, it is more bourbon-like.
Yeah,
interesting.
It's got that kind of bourbon heat to it. It's not that lightweight, fun to drink tequila. This has got a lot more robustness to it. I don't know that you do this as a gift. This is not your everyday tequila. This is a special one for Christmas. And it better be something you like because you spent $300 on it.
Yeah. They have a variety. Have you tried the extra añejo?
This is the extra añejo.
Oh, that is it. It's just
we did try
bottle.
the Reposado as well. So we went with the most expensive one.
Yeah, we had that at the bar.
Yeah, we were drinking the Reposado at the bar, which was nice, without a doubt.
Okay.
So I mean, again, This is two Mexican people, one of which has made a lot of money in America, decided they want to make their own tequila.
Right.
They got Marky Mark involved because it's good for marketing, without a doubt.
Sure.
And remember,
Every celebrity has a tequila now. I mean, that's
it's the thing, right? And this guy is a top-tier PGA golf guy, so that's also a tie-in as well. They know what they're doing, right? They're running a marketing machine, but they chose to make their tequila in a very legit way. So they're helping to support the old establishment and at the same time using modern marketing methods. So I have a tough time being upset with Fletcher Azul. They're fine. They're doing their thing. Know what you got, right?
So we're going to test the theorem that tequila makes your clothes fall off.
I'm more of the tequila makes me. When I drink too much tequila, I start believing I'm invisible, and that makes other choices.
Maybe it's the tequila talking, but I like tequila.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Windows Weekly. We're going to let them go back to their important duties there in
what's that thing called
on
the beach?
Of the cabanas?
The cabana. Our important cabana duties.
Yes.
Yeah, cabana duties.
Actually, it's celebration tonight in the theme park. So in an hour or two, we have to head towards the theme park.
Jealous. Oh, man.
We're going to have some fun.
I've been seeing Paul's pictures on Instagram. It looks so much fun. Have a wonderful time, you guys. Thank you so much for being here, even on vacation. Paul Thurrott is at thurrott.com. THUROTT.com. Become a premium member for all the goodness, but it's a great place to check out for the latest news all week long. He also publishes his books, Field Guide to Windows 11 and Windows Everywhere at leanpub.com.
Just reminded me. Yesterday I was in the cabana alone. Everyone was gone. You took off
I had
to
do my thing. Yeah.
Girls were off walking on the beach. A guy comes over and he goes, "Hey, is there anything else I can get you?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I thought you'd never ask. It's been forever." And he goes, "I was here 3 minutes ago." And I'm like, it felt like forever.
Ask for a foot rub. Excellent foot rub. They come down the beach. They'll give you
the cabana section has a couple of massage tables.
Oh, yeah.
The service is not terrible.
No.
Richard Campbell, he is runasradio.com. And, of course, .NET Rocks with Carl Franklin. You'll find both at runasradio.com. And he is our whiskey / other kinds of liquor.
I like the brown liquor.
He likes the brown stuff. But Crystal will be okay, too. Thank you so much for being here. We do Windows Weekly on Wednesdays, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1900 UTC. You can watch us stream live. Yes, we're back on TikTok.
It survived somehow.
It was a tough couple hours outage there.
A rough couple hours.
Doesn't constitute an endorsement in any way, shape, or form. We just want to be wherever you might be. So, of course, our club members watch on Discord, but we're also on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, X.com. We're in all the Nazi bars. LinkedIn, Facebook, and Kick. So you pick, you watch. The chats are open in all of them, and I see all the chat comments. Great to have you all there. Now, you don't. Somebody was complaining yesterday. He said, "Well, you never start on time." I just want you to understand, this is not a TV station. You're watching the behind-the-scenes recording of shows. It says that on the schedule. The times are, suggested. If you want to listen exactly at the time you want to listen, there's an easy way to do that. Go to twit.tv/WW. You can download or just watch on the website the video, or download the audio or the video. There's also a link there to the YouTube channel. Start the video at any time. And probably the best way to do this would be to subscribe. It's free. It's a podcast, right? So get your favorite podcast client, wherever you get your podcasts, and search for Windows Weekly. You can get it automatically, audio or video versions. And listen, if you want to listen exactly at 12:01, you can. Whenever you want to listen. Paul, Richard, I needn't say have a wonderful time. I think you're going to.
Yeah, all great.
And we'll see you back here next week.
I'll be in London, and you'll be in
Mexico City.
Yeah.
Don't think about the future. Just enjoy the present. You're there. That's what matters. Yeah. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next time on Windows Weekly. Bye-bye.